Hey guys, it's Courtney from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and I'm super excited to dive into this Capricorn full moon happening on July 10th around 18 degrees and 50 seconds. So, what does this mean for us? Well, we have also just had Uranus move into Gemini, so things are starting to shake up. Things are starting to get moving in a way that might feel exciting for some and stressful for others. And a full moon is a time where we usually have some kind of illumination around a topic. And especially with this being in Capricorn, which is often the sign associated with planning, long-term goals, and just having kind of like a realistic mindset with things, we can expect that the things that are illuminated right now are meant to help us understand the path, the long-term path that we're going on. And this is an interesting full moon because the ruler of this moon is Saturn, and Saturn is currently conjunct Neptune in Aries. Neptune is retrograde. So you can see Saturn in Aries here. The combination of these planets can be kind of difficult because, like I mentioned, Saturn Capricorn are realistic sign planet combination. And so that means that the challenges of reality become really apparent and very honest. Like we're able to see things very clearly. And Neptune is a planet of idealism. And when you combine these planets together, there can feel like a weird disillusionment with something. And so part of the illumination process of a Capricorn full moon is maybe us feeling like something about our long-term goals or something that we're working on or something that we're thinking about long-term or building towards. We might feel a little disillusioned with it. There might be some compromise that we have to make or something that we have to accept for what it is, or we might feel less hopeful or a little disengaged right now, almost like the kind of youthful naivete of Neptune is, washed away, and we can see something so clearly that it makes us like a little bit low in energy, like a drop almost from where we were. And one of the, difficulties of a Saturn/Capricorn full moon, and I say both because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, so we're looking at both. But yeah, a Capricorn full moon and Saturn in general can bring an overall sense of pessimism. And I think one of the concerns for me is being like a little bit self-critical at this time. What I think is going to be helpful for us, though, is the fact that the full moon is a part of this mystic rectangle. So you can see here that obviously the sun and moon are opposite each other, and they're also making a trine to the north and south node, and then there's a sextile, between the opposite luminary. So you can see it literally makes like this whole rectangle shape. So I like this because the mystic rectangle has the purpose of being spiritual in nature, but also practical in nature, especially since this is a Capricorn full moon. And I mentioned that that's really based a lot around reality. And reality is practical. It is real. It is tangible. And so are earth signs, which is where some of these planets are taking place. So having a kind of mystical but yet practical experience with this full moon, I think, is going to be, again, helpful for us. So let me first talk about why I think it's like what the struggle is, which I've already kind of touched on, but I'm going to go into it a little bit deeper, and then I'll go into why I think this is helpful. So I mentioned that Capricorn Saturn energy can be a little bit harsh on ourselves, harsh on others, being overly realistic or pessimistic. And I do think that that's challenging with this moon trining Mars and the south node in Virgo, because whenever we have a planet on the south node, we do tend to have like a depletion of that energy that planet stores. Mars is like literally an energy battery. It's also representative of our confidence, of our ability to take action and clearly move forward towards something. When it's conjunct the South Node and in Virgo, I get the feeling that there is a little bit of this like potential for crippling anxiety, for overthinking, for being too critical of ourselves, especially because it's in this trine to the moon in Capricorn, which can already have a little bit of that energy. So these two planets can kind of feed off of each other and create a little bit of a disengagement with life, or low energy, or feeling a little bit like fearful. Fearful of what could be, and the future and things like that. So there can be just like an additional layer of stress with these planets in trine. Also, the moon being between 18, 19 degrees of Capricorn, the Sabian symbol for that is a 5-year-old child carrying a bag filled with groceries. And this is talking about premature responsibility. So a little kid carrying a heavy bag of groceries, that's not something that you usually see, but there is this parentification, or this additional weight or stress put on this child at a young age. And so we might kind of feel that on us as well at this time, where we might feel like there are certain things that we want long term, but we already are having to work through some stuff now for that long-term goal that could be making us feel a little bit down on ourselves. So if you have your sights set on this big thing, like let's say you want to get married, or you want to buy a house, or you want to move, or you want to graduate school, but there is some kind of journey or obstacle or inner work or something that you have to get through to get to the other side. So there is this kind of early on responsibility in a journey that we have to kind of complete now, but that we might feel like either we're behind, or we might be hard on ourselves in that process, or feel like we're not doing good enough, or have fear that we're not going to get through it. There's just this kind of potential of rumination here, and worry with Mars in the South Node, almost like the nervous system can get a little bit overrun. And so that's a little bit challenging. But given that this is a moon in Capricorn, I still see us being fixated on the potential of something, on the end goal, the finish line, the victory that we know is going to be possible for us, especially because the ruler, Saturn, is with Neptune, and Neptune is an idealist, like I said. So I don't think that we're going to give up on our long-term dreams, but I do think that there are temporary frustrations or things that don't live up to our expectations, or things that we're fearful of or critical of, that can create some disillusionment in the present moment. But I still think we're looking at that long-term goal with, hope in our eyes, kind of thing. Hope this is making sense. So that is kind of forming half of this mystic rectangle. The other half is the sun in Cancer making a trine to the North Node in Pisces. So to me, this is representing our need to heal the fears that are in our hearts. Because, the North Node in Pisces represents the need to move forward without always having all of the answers, without always seeing, I don't know, I guess like without having control over the situation. Because Mars, South Node in Virgo, there is a real desire to have control over something, to fully understand it, to be able to manipulate it to your liking. The moon in Capricorn can represent this as well. So there can be just some situation that like we want to have, full understanding. We want to predict it all. We want to be able to fix it all. We want to better it. Again, have the ability to have the say or the control in that. But there is such a long journey towards our final destination that there's a lot of unknown factors, and a lot of things that we're going to have to discover about ourselves. And in that process, we can have a lot of fears be projected into the future over, what ifs. What if this happens? And what if that happens? Because we desire a sense of control and stability with this Capricorn full moon. But again, there are still so many unknowns that when we don't have that sense of stability or that control or that groundedness that we want every step of the way, there's that fear kind of being projected onto. What if this never happens? What if X, Y, and Z happens? That's actually a bad thing. And so this North Node in Pisces, trining the Sun in Cancer, to me is healing the heart around this, trying to find an inner peace, trying to trust in the unknown while still taking steps in the material world, but trusting that those steps, even at times when they may feel, like they're blind steps, trusting that they're leading you to where you need to go. And that is why this is a practical yet mystical experience, because we're still taking action in our day-to-day lives, but in the spiritual sense, we are really having to trust some sort of blind faith, to trust our intuition, our knowing, our sense of knowing that it's going to work out, or that we're meant for this path, that we're going to get there at some point. And Saturn and Neptune combined is a lot about that. It is a lot of like the realistic practical steps while also holding on to a hope or faith that something will come to fruition. And in this process, we are going to have to change quite a bit. And that's what I think Uranus and Gemini represents, is this dynamic energy of people shifting their perspective, what they learn, what they know, what they think, and also our shift in relationships. In this chart, we have Uranus next to Venus, so shift in our values, shift in our money, and again, shift in the people that we surround ourselves with. So there's just something here that's like we're fundamentally going to change along this journey. Things, again, are really dynamic, so things are going to change very quickly and sometimes unexpectedly. But we're still meant to be keeping our sights set on a fixed end goal. But in that journey, we are going to change a lot in the process. So basically, how I see this full moon, just to kind of recap, is I think that our sights right now are set on a long-term goal that may feel in some ways like it might never be realized. And we think that because there are certain challenges in our current reality that are making us critical of what's happening and feel disillusioned with our hopes and dreams. However, there's still the core of us, or the essence of us, that is looking to the future, that sees us achieving or having what we want in a successful way. And so we're holding on to that, and we're meant to be finding a semblance of peace in our current reality for the things that we can't control, and recognizing that we're going to change a lot on this journey to get to what we want on the other side. So I just feel like this is kind of like esoteric in nature and not as maybe practical as some of my other readings. But I do think that that suits, given that this is a mystic rectangle and a mystical reading. So, I think it's a really good time right now to be getting rid of our self-doubt as much as we can by trusting in the unknown, and by trusting that when we move forward and we take this leap, or we, move into our spiritual practice, that what is on the other side is going to benefit us greatly. And then the premature responsibility thing, I think, is the weight that Saturn puts on us that can make us feel kind of stressed in the present moment. And I think that, again, finding some type of peace, even while handling that responsibility, is the ultimate goal. So how can your heart find peace with where things are at right now and still hold hope for the future? That is like the biggest question I'm going to pose to you guys today. If you have any helpful tips or experiences you want to share about in the description or the comments below, I would really appreciate that. I also wanted to let you know I'm running an astrology course starting at the end of July. So if you're interested in signing up, I have a sales page that I will link down below. And I also have a workshop on that page that's free if you want to get a sample of kind of the topics I'm going to cover. And I hope that you guys have a beautiful day. Make sure you check out your rising and sun sign in the description box down below, and I'll see you there. Bye. All right, up first we have Aries rising and sun. So for you guys, this Capricorn full moon on July 10th is taking place in your 10th house. So I have the cards set up in a particular way that kind of answers the chart, I guess, in the way that I think it's set up. So one of the things that I mentioned in the overview is that I think that there is some illumination here around a long-term goal and practical steps we can take to get there. For you, this is primarily happening in the area of career or just like life goals and kind of how you see your life developing, what your ambitions are for yourself, how you want to grow as a person. That's my advice for your practical steps. But the ruler of this moon, Saturn, is conjunct Neptune. It's in your first house, which is really significant for you. And you might go through kind of periods of disillusionment a little bit around, the self and what you think about yourself. You might be at times a little bit harder on yourself. And it's possible for you to maybe feel, with the moon trining Mars and South Node in Virgo on the 6th, it's possible you might feel like you're not doing good enough. Like I'm not working enough, I'm not productive enough, or even when I'm doing stuff, maybe I don't feel like I'm getting ahead, or maybe you lack confidence. Maybe even with your health or your physical appearance, maybe you're being too hard or lacking confidence in yourself. And so these cards here are going to show, the tarot cards are going to show the practical steps that you can take. And we're meant to find some sort of peace right now with the North Node in Pisces being in your 12th house. There's some kind of hope that we're meant to be establishing right now. And that represents this card. And then the disillusionment is the first card. So, the disillusionment that I'm talking about is like being hard on yourself. That Saturn, Neptune in the first, Mars, South Node in the 6th. This can cause a bit of stress. So, the first card that I have for that is She Who Remains, Powerful Devotion, True Worth. I don't know, this to me feels like, since this is a sore spot, you could feel maybe like you're questioning certain aspects of yourself, your personality, your interests, your goals, maybe your work efforts. Maybe you're going through existential questions. Is this how things are supposed to be? Is this what I want? Is this where I'm meant to go? And, this being a card talking about remaining, you might feel at times like you're not so sure if you want things to stay the way that they are. And they are meant to change, of course, but it is going to take some time to come to the realization of what is meant to shift. And I don't think that's right now. Another aspect that could be a pain point for you with the true worth could be, wondering if you are worthy or having self-worth issues, or being, again, a little critical of the self and your abilities or capabilities. So that could also be feeling stressful. You might feel like you're not quite living up to certain stressors or like pressures that you put on yourself. And this Capricorn full moon can indicate that I don't know, I feel like it can show the discrepancy between where you are and where you want to be. And that can feel stressful at this time. But with the North of the 12th and this assurance card, Spirit wants you to know that you are totally on the right path, that you are doing all the right things, that the seeds that you're planting are going to come to fruition, and that it's important to have, blind faith right now, faith for things that you cannot see, that the seeds will eventually poke above the ground and grow into full plants and fruits in your life. So this assurance card, I think, is literally just here to tell you, to reassure you that things are working out in your favor, even if it feels doubtful right now. So the practical steps that you can take, we have this 5 of Pentacles, Ace of Cups in reverse, and 3 of Wands, 2 of Cups reverse, 5 of Swords upright, 7 of Pentacles. You have some interesting mix of kind of good cards and challenging cards. So let's dive into it. So practical steps for you. With the 5 of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups in reverse, this to me feels like if something doesn't work out, the 5 of Pentacles feels like kind of like a missed opportunity, feeling like something is lacking in your life. like it didn't come to fruition, or you are feeling the emptiness of something. So maybe it's financially you're feeling it, or maybe, you know, a relationship or something didn't work out in your favor, or something here that can feel, again, like it's a lack of some sort or disappointment. And the Ace of Cups in reverse, to me, this feels like letting go of some of the expectations that you're holding on to about this thing and being willing to look in new directions. So to me, your practical steps are that if something has turned out to be unfavorable or has not lived up to its potential, or has, again, felt like it's brought misfortune or lack in your life and just isn't meeting your needs, to not emotionally attach to that, but instead be willing to look at other avenues of getting towards your goal. Because I do think that the goal should remain the same, or relatively the same, but the avenue of getting there, I think, will change. And so this Capricorn full moon can illuminate the potential for you to have more visions or clarity or understanding about another potential pathway that could lead you to successful completion of the essence of your goal. Then we have Two of Cups in reverse, Five of Swords upright, and Seven of Pentacles. So these cards represent, the Two of Cups in reverse and Five of Swords represent the breakdown of a relationship here. It doesn't have to be a relationship. It could be something, related to some kind of commitment that you had to something, like a contract or something of that nature. But either way, there's some type of relationship that you have with an entity or a person that is breaking down here with these cards. And it feels like some type of dissonance where, again, you might think one thing and the other person thinks another, or there is some type of discord or misunderstanding that is leading to a lack of harmony. But with this ending with the Seven of Pentacles, I feel like part of your advice here is to try to work on whatever this is. Try to find stability in this endeavor here. And I kind of want to pull one more card to make sure that that's the message, or to clarify. So let me just see here. Because if it's toxic, obviously you wouldn't want to stay in whatever this is. So let's see. What is the Seven of Pentacles saying here, Spirit? The Page of Cups. So I think that it's a potential for some of you to stay in whatever this is, but the Page of Cups is a new emotional beginning. So I actually feel like the Seven of Pentacles is describing doing some work on yourself long term to emotionally be in a place where you are more open. So some of you guys might have had some type of contract or relationship or something fall through or break down or cause conflict. And instead of trying to force this to work now and this timeline to work, the Seven of Pentacles and the Page of Cups is describing a fresh start, but you have to work to get to this fresh start and to become emotionally open and curious and open-hearted and not like jaded or guarded. So I think right now with the Five of Swords, you might be in a place of feeling maybe a little bit defensive or guarded. And with Saturn and Neptune in the first, that makes a lot of sense, because I think that you are kind of undergoing a lot of change. And in that process, I think some things are going to be stripped away and it can be somewhat challenging. So in that process, it's hard to be emotionally open and vulnerable and almost like innocent. You know, it's like you're going through something right now. So the Seven of Pentacles represents playing the long game with whatever this is in your life. If there's something that fell through or that is like causing disharmony in your life, relationally or contractually, play the long game with it and try to work on that situation or your inner world to get to a place of emotional openness and innocence, so that a new opportunity can come to you that you are open and willing to receive rather than kind of wearing jadedness on your shoulder. Like, for example, if you are in a workplace and you're having some issues with people at work, you don't want to just immediately try to like jump ship. This to me feels like I'm gonna maybe go into a little bit more reasoning as to why I'm having this relationship issue and try to heal that side of things so that the next opportunity I go into, I don't bring any of that baggage with me. Or this could be a romantic relationship where that's probably more applicable. But I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, these are the practical steps. You're meant to be working on becoming more emotionally open. And for something that didn't work out in your life, to look for another path to get to that same destination. You must be reassured that you're on the right path in general, because I think you're going through a period of questioning things and also questioning your overall worthiness for this goal or this desire that you have in general. So that's what I see for you, Aries. If this is helpful, let me know in the comments down below. I am running an astrology course. If you guys are interested in taking it, it starts at the end of July. It's a cohort, so you're gonna have to join live if you want to join us. And I will put the sales page for that in the description box down below. And I hope you guys check it out and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I might say I have Taurus rising and sun. So for you guys, this Capricorn moon on July 10th is taking place in your 9th house. So I see this moon as illuminating part of our long-term path and having to kind of find a sense of peace with how things are right now, even if they're not living up to our expectations of our progress that we want to make. And I do think that we're all going to feel somewhat disillusioned at this time in one way or another, even if it's small. And I think that's because we can be hard on ourselves during a Capricorn full moon, especially with it trining your Mars in the South Node, which is in your 5th house. You know, we can be a little bit critical around ourselves and maybe like a little uptight sometimes when we have Mars and the South Node together in the 5th. You know, it's supposed to be a time, you know, the 5th house activation is usually supposed to be a time of like joy and pleasure and having fun and being in the moment and feeling creatively inspired. But with this moon in the 9th trining the South Node of Mars here, I almost get the sense of like, you're optimistic in certain ways, but I almost feel like you want things to prove it to you. Like, prove to me that you're gonna work. Prove to me that this is legit, that I can enjoy this and just, you know, believe in this or have pleasure in this and just, yeah, I don't know. Like if you're in a relationship, for example, or dating someone and you're like, you know, prove to me that this is legit. Like, I'm not just gonna trust you. I'm not just gonna believe in this. And so, yeah, I feel like, that's part of where the tension is coming from, where there's that kind of, yeah, that energy that's a little stressful. And Saturn and Neptune are in your in your 12th house. So this is important because Saturn rules the moon. So it's going to kind of describe, you know, again, part of this story of the tension that I've just laid out. And Saturn in the 12th with Neptune really needs to trust. And I think this is where part of your disillusionment is happening with this She Who Knows card, Wisdom, Clarity, Resolution. I really feel like there is some level of not knowing here, not being able to see something in the tangible that is causing you a lot of disillusionment or frustration or discomfort. It's almost like, again, you want evidence, you want facts, you want data, you want something or someone to prove themselves. You want to see it come into the material world, but this Wisdom card is saying you can't know that, you can't see that, you just have to trust that it's there, with that Saturn being in your 12th house. And I think that can feel really scary. And again, where this disillusionment piece is, because you know, you want something to be a certain way, you want to see all the evidence in material reality, but it's not going to be like that right now. And with this illusion card, this is the card where I asked, how can you find peace? The illusion card speaks to the nuance here of being able to trust in the things that you can't see without living in an illusion and lying to yourself. And that's such a fine line. And I think it's a fine line that people really jump back and forth over, especially in the spiritual community, but really in every community. But I just think people in the spiritual community tend to have more faith, and they can delude themselves also using that same power of faith into believing people or circumstances or things out of the goodwill of their heart that don't deserve it. And so this illusion card to me is speaking to the nuance of being able to find peace by trusting the truth that your heart is speaking to you. And with the sun in Cancer in the 3rd house right now, I do think that you are more perceptive of people than you realize, or situations, because the 3rd house is very much like I'm picking up all the information around me. And Cancer, where the sun is really intuitive. And so you might be picking up on all this environmental information, you know, like the word that somebody chose, or their body language, or these weird synchronicities of things in a circumstance that give you a strange feeling. And you might not know where it's coming from or why it's happening, but that sun in Cancer is intuitively telling you what the red flags are, or what to look out for, or what not to trust, even if it's trying to persuade you otherwise, the situation or this person, because the illusion card can be prone to, again, deception on behalf of others or a situation. So trust your instincts, trust the things that you might easily ignore right now, to be able to find that sense of truth, even when there's a lot that you still can't see about this person or situation. Because again, you're going to have to trust, you're going to have a little bit of blind faith, and that again can be really frustrating for you. And you might be worried that, you know, if I'm having blind faith, that I'm just going to fall for something that I shouldn't fall for, some kind of deception. But what I'm saying is your intuition knows. It's picking up on things and processing things that are cueing you into what is invisible about, you know, how this situation or person will progress in your life. So you can trust that. Find peace in knowing that you truly can see things in a deeper way than you might realize. And the North Node is in your 11th house. So you might be able to trust your friends or find solace in your community or people who have similar circumstances in their life. And that can also create a greater understanding of what you're going through. And that can, again, help illuminate any illusions that you might be prone to seeing that maybe other people who've been through something similar can help you spot. Okay, so what are some practical steps? Because with this being a moon in Capricorn in your 9th house, we need some practical steps on how to continue to be hopeful, on what you should be believing in right now and what you shouldn't be, and what you need to do in your life. So we have Ace of Cups reversed, 7 of Wands upright, and Page of Wands in reverse. So what does this mean? So it's interesting. We're getting some really mixed cards for people. I definitely feel like there's some emotional imbalance here with the Ace of Cups being in reverse. You know, when it's upright, it's some kind of new emotional opportunity. Maybe you meet somebody new, or there's something that you're excited about. But when it's in reverse, it feels like imbalanced. It feels like maybe you're a little bit emotionally depleted right now. And the 7 of Wands upright usually represents feeling like you're having to defend something or someone that is in your life that might be actually emotionally draining you. And you might not realize it yet, or you might, but with the Page of Wands in reverse, there's a little bit of this energy here of like losing some of your spark. You know, some of that feeling of like, oh, I'm being spontaneous and I'm having fun and I'm just trusting this flow. And that's what I was getting with like the Mars South Node in Virgo in the 5th house is I want you to prove it. I want the evidence. It's not spontaneous. It's not fun. It's not sexy. It's like, it's a little bit more control oriented and fearful and, yeah, and not like living in the moment. But I think it's because some situation is emotionally not disarming you. It's kind of the opposite. Like it's emotionally alarming you, I guess. And so it's putting you on edge, like kind of making you more defensive. And for that reason, it's harder to just kind of enjoy the pleasure of the moment and be present. So part of your advice, I feel like is trying to call your attention to that. Notice when you feel less spontaneous or less like of your natural spark, or more like you're trying to analyze and like figure something out, because that's a sign here that there's something that's depleting your emotional energy. And you can recognize it pretty early on if you cue into, do I feel as light as I normally do? Let me just pull a card here to see if there's any advice additionally to that. Any advice to this Page of Wands in reverse? Spirit. It might be playing off of the next cards. So we have the Empress and the Hanged Man. Yeah, so I definitely feel like there's something that you're needing to see differently, and you might need to just kind of pause on whatever the situation or person is. With the Hanged Man, this is like, I need some kind of change in perspective, but you're not going to do that by continuing to engage with what you're doing. So it's important to pause and then go into a place of receptivity, like listening to life, listening to synchronicities, to the people around you, to the things that the world is trying to tell you, to receive the information that you need or the guidance that you need without searching for it or without trying to fix something or find the evidence for something. It's like trying to kind of pause that thing and take a back seat and go into feminine mode, to receptivity mode, to openness, to curiosity, because I think you're going to discover the change in perspective that you need through that period of kind of pausing. The other practical steps, we have Queen of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, the Chariot, and the Moon in reverse. So, I mean, these seem a lot better, to be honest. I feel like where you're meant to be channeling your energy is probably more so into your material reality. With the Queen of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles, you probably have quite a bit going on. Maybe there are courses that you're taking or jobs that you're working or events that you're planning. But there's this feeling of like being quite busy in your everyday life and actually having a lot of things to take care of and responsibilities. So I feel like the universe just wants you to pause whatever this thing is draining you with, and it's taking some of your spark away, and focus on your responsibilities. And that's a Capricorn moon thing to do, right? You know, like maybe you're saving up for a trip, or you're trying to work extra hard, or you're trying to launch something, or maybe you have kids and you have things that they need to do and you're running them around. So it's like focus on that instead. And with the Ace of Wands and Chariot, I feel like this is saying that you're naturally going to get your spark rehabilitated by moving forward on the things that excite you and the things that are also just kind of taking care of everyday responsibilities. So balancing the responsibility with like the things that excite you. So if you have a hobby, or if you love doing, you know, hot yoga, or if you love hiking, or if you love meeting up with your friends, it's like balancing those two things is going to make you feel like life is progressing really well and really quickly, and like you're really in control. And with the Moon in reverse, I think you're going to have a lot of clarity around your sense of direction. You're going to feel really kind of tapped into where you're meant to go, what you're meant to be doing, and feel like you're fulfilling that. So I'm really getting the sense of like you guys just need to focus on your life, the practical aspects of your life and the things that make you have fun. But if there is a situation or relationship that's been draining you, confusing you, making you feel like you have to defend someone or something, or yourself, or your spark is getting loose, like that is meant to be paused right now so you can focus on the other elements of your life. So that seems like a lot of messages just for this full moon, but I hope that that's helpful for you guys. If so, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys want to learn astrology with me, I am going to be running a live cohort starting at the end of July. So if you guys want to join, make sure you check out my course sales page. It's like a mentorship, really. And you can find that in my description box down below. I also have a workshop that I led that you guys can get a taste of what the class is going to be like. And it's going to be a lot more than that, but it's just kind of a little piece of it. And that is on the course sales page as well. So I hope to see you guys there. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm next to have Gemini rising and sun. This Capricorn full moon on July 10th is happening in your 8th house. So what is this going to bring? Well, I really feel like for all of us, it's going to illuminate something about our long-term path. For you guys, this could be financial in nature or relationship in nature, where you might see some kind of discrepancies where you're like, oh, that's not really what I thought this was going to be, or this is turning out different, this is disappointing me in some way, or causing some level of stress. But this full moon can also indicate some path to prosperity. So we're going to talk all about that, and we're going to look at it through the lens of the cards and tie it in the astrology. So a full moon in the 8th house, the reason I'm saying that there can be some stress here is because the 8th house is usually the house of fears and nightmares. So if you feel like you're a little bit worried about finances, or taking some kind of financial risk, or taking some kind of risk in terms with your relationships, you could feel some of that pressure right now. And Saturn and Neptune are, well, Saturn's the ruler of this moon, and Saturn's conjunct Neptune, and they're both in the 11th house right now. So you guys might be really, really wishing for something and like having some kind of ideal, but you might also feel somehow disillusioned or disappointed at the same time, and wondering if that ideal is going to come to pass. Like, is that perfect relationship going to happen? Is my financial future going to look the way I want it to? Are things actually going to manifest and pull through for me, or are they not? You could also feel some disillusionment around just community, friendships, connections, romantic relationships in general. You might feel like you're kind of having doubts and uncertainty around that area of your life right now. And I think that okay, let me start off with the cards, and then I'll get to the rest of the astrology. So we start off with she who enfolds, swath, embrace, self-care, she who brings light, serenity, beacon. So this is the area I asked Spirit, what is feeling disillusioned? Where is there a lack of peace, basically? And we have these self-care and like light kind of cards. They should feel really healing, but I'm getting the sense that you guys are maybe really busy. Maybe you have a lot on your shoulders. Things might feel quite a bit, pressured, especially we just had Uranus move into your sign, which does create a lot of change. It creates a lot of stimulation. It creates, again, the potential for really dynamic energy, things to be shifting in ways that make you really busy, or maybe just like frazzled internally in your nervous system or your mind. So I'm getting the sense that you guys are actually really disillusioned because you are not having full hope with this light card. Like you're not entirely 100% sure that like what you want is going to come to pass in the way that you want. And then the self-care card is speaking about not even having the time maybe, or the capacity to fully take care of yourself right now, to slow down, to rest, to replenish yourself in the ways that you maybe want to. Like maybe there's some like hobbies or activities that you like to do, and you feel like, oh, I'm actually kind of busy and I haven't been able to get around to those things. I haven't been able to see my friends as much, or, go out and do fun things that usually like bring me a lot of joy. Yeah. And this moon is trining Mars and the South Node in Virgo in your 4th house. So there might just be stuff concerning the home in particular that's keeping you really busy and a little bit stressed. So maybe you're trying to find a home, decorate a home, take care of your home, take care of your kids, take care of your family, take care of finances, and save money for the home, or save money for a home in the future. Like stuff like that, where you just have a lot of shit to do concerning like home and family. That might be taking time away from your ability to self-care and to find this kind of like lightness in spirit and this hopefulness, because it's really easy to become depressed or to lose hope or to become fearful when you are really busy, when you're working really hard, when you're kind of pushing past your limit and not resting. And I kind of get the sense that you guys might be a little bit in that phase right now, that you're needing more balance. And I asked Spirit, what is it that's going to bring you peace? And I got this flow card, and it has 44. So yeah, 4 is obviously related to 4th house, which is home. So there's something about this where I feel like you guys might just need to get over like a hump or a hurdle and get into a place of maybe greater flow with your home. Maybe you get somehow a sense of security, or you somehow get organized, or maybe you just get more support, or maybe you just learn how to better balance your responsibilities. But I feel like this flow card is just telling you guys that, life is going to continue to be dynamic, and having it really structured and really disciplined, and having things on a timeline and all these expectations, I think, are not going to suit you with Uranus in your sign. You're going to need to be able to flow with life, adapt to change, to adjust your schedule, adjust your responsibilities and expectations on yourself, and not put so much pressure on yourself, because that's going to create a lack of rest, and that's going to stir up irrational fears or stressors because you're not resting. I hope that's making sense. They're all connected, even though they're different parts of the chart that are being activated. It's all connected. Your North Node, which is in Pisces, is in the 10th house, or transiting North Node, and that represents like where you're headed. So you're meant to flow with where you're headed. You're meant to not have all the answers, and be okay with not having all the answers. Be okay with being agile and adaptable in your goals, in your career, in even where you might end up living, or how your living situation ends up, or your home situation, or your family situation. Just kind of going with the flow. And again, not really trying to hold on tight to one specific thing, like one timeline, one idea of things, one way you want things to go. That is going to cause stress if you do that. So if you can go with the flow and be dynamic, it's going to bring you the most peace. Okay, so let's talk about the practical things that you can do right now, because a full moon in Capricorn is all about being practical and taking steps forward to secure our well-being. So we have 5 of Swords, 6 of Swords reverse, Ace of Pentacles reverse, Ace of Cups reverse, and the World card upright. So I definitely, this is kind of why I was saying I feel like money could potentially be a stressor for you right now. Or it doesn't have to be money, but there's something in the material world that I think is going to be stressful, because the 5 of Swords, 6 of Swords in reverse, Ace of Pentacles upright, these are cards of like being overwhelmed a little bit, being a little bit stressed out, feeling like you're moving through a transition, but you're not maybe transitioning with the 6 of Swords in reverse into easier times. Like the Ace of Pentacles in reverse can represent feeling like finances or something in the material world didn't pull through. It could be anything really, like you're trying to date someone and that falls through, or you're trying to buy a house and that falls through, you're trying to feel financially stable and it's like not feeling like that. And I think it's throwing you off and making you feel like a lack of safety, a lack of safety. I'm getting this feeling of like survival, being in a survival mode. And that could be varying degrees. Like I don't think everyone here is going to be 100% in survival mode, but there's going to be a little bit of that going on to some extent that might keep you up at night or cause a little bit of stress. Again, because maybe you're just quite busy and you don't feel like you're totally grounded in something, or like something that you really want is not pulling through and it's causing you to be on edge in some way. And the World card represents the completion of this. So I think part of your advice from Spirit is like you are about to complete this phase somehow. Let me see like what practical steps you can do with this, because I feel like it's not answering that per se. So Spirit, what are the practical steps with this World card? The Chariot and the 9 of Wands in reverse. So, well, first of all, having a full moon in the 8th house signifies the need to share resources. So this could look like relying on other people. So reaching out, asking for help. This could look like, turning to friends, to family, to partners for support. This could be asking for financial help. This could be pooling resources or tools or strengths. So like asking a friend to set you up with somebody if you're looking for a date, or if you're struggling financially, like moving in with a roommate, or if you need some kind of help getting a job, like asking around, asking your connections to try to get you a job. Like this is really the need to, like a full moon in the 8th is like pool the resources, you are stronger together. And so that is, I think, advice based off of the astrology. I think that there is some kind of cycle of lacking security that is going to come to an end really soon. And with the 9 of Wands in reverse, so there's something that I feel like you are giving up on, and then something that you are moving towards. So let me pull a clarifier for the Chariot of like, what are you choosing? So yeah, there's so many cards. Seven of Pentacles, the Star, the Knight of Cups, the Fool, the Knight of Wands. I feel like there's some long-term thing that you might be adjusting your goals with. And that is important here in order to feel fulfillment. Some of you guys, this could be relationship oriented again. But it's almost like you have some kind of long-term goal that maybe you're going about it in a certain way, or like you have a fixation on something in particular, and it's trying to tell you to channel your energy into something that is, again, more long-term based. And if there's something that you're struggling with in this moment right now, to not continue to engage with it that much. That doesn't mean that you have to like give up whatever this immediate desire is, but it's almost like put energy into the things that are flowing, into the things that are working, rather than trying to continue to put energy into the things that are not moving very well or not moving very quickly. And so it's like focus your energy on the things that bring you hope, the things that fulfill you, the things that feel like a fresh start, or that feel not like as much baggage and that you can move quickly towards or you're inspired by. So like, let me give you an example. So let's say that you're financially struggling and you're trying to make something work for you, but let's say you're trying to push something that you really want to get momentum in your life, with your career, but there might be something else that you can do that is going to get you kind of immediate results, or that is going to be a good long-term goal that you can work on if this immediate one isn't bearing fruit for you. Or let's say this is a relationship and you're on the dating apps and you're really trying to meet somebody, but nobody's swiping, nobody's talking to you, you feel like it's an uphill battle. This is saying, well, put energy into the relationships and the people around you. That's easy, that's fun, you know these people. Put energy into relationships, people around you, and then try to build from there some type of long-term connection that can be brand new for you. So it's like, don't try to like, not that you have to give up on the dating apps, not that you have to give up on that work thing that you're trying to do, but there's this feeling of like, take the gas off of that pedal and apply the gas to another pedal of your life, and allow this other area to be like, to not be as emotionally invested in it, because I think it's causing you stress. So the areas of your life that are not flowing, you can attend to them. You can continue to attend to them, but not to put as much pressure on them, not try to like make it all work right now, and have long-term goals instead, and put energy more into things that are going to work, or that uplift you or give you some sign of hope. You know, instead of like trying to force something to look or be a certain way right now. Because there's something about timing, because I think that you are completing a cycle here of like things being like not working out. You're going to complete the cycle by kind of ignoring that area of your life and focusing on the areas that are more beneficial for you, that feel better for you. Hope that makes sense. We also have Eight of Wands, Page of Cups, King of Wands reverse, Judgment, and the Seven of Swords. So with the Eight of Wands, Page of Cups, I definitely feel like this is kind of speaking to go all in on the things that you feel really excited about, the things that open you up emotionally, the things that inspire you right now. Go all in on those. And, you know, the areas that are lacking confidence, that you feel like are making you doubt yourself, or you're really unsure and you feel like insecure with the King of Wands reverse, those are areas where you're going to have some major awakenings as you realize that there's a lot happening underneath the surface there that could have to deal with like psychological things within you, that I think will naturally, psychological things, but also things that are outside of your control. Like a lot of unknown factors are playing into the lack of confidence and the lack of success of one area of your life. And you actually will be able to work on this and have more revealed around this just by simply putting energy into the things that excite you. So instead of trying to be like, oh, I'm going to go to therapy, I'm going to work on this thing, I'm going to figure out what this is, like, why am I lacking confidence? Why isn't this going well? It's like, let's just put a pin in that, because there's a bunch of things going on here. Part of it's you, part of it's circumstances outside your control. Let's put a pin in that, focus on the things that are exciting, that are working, and you will naturally build your energy and build your momentum to be able to then contrast it with how you feel in this other situation or circumstance. And you'll be able to spot more easily what was going on there. Because some of it's divine timing, some of it's out of your control, and that's not worth stressing about. But there is some level of a lack of confidence here too, that I think you're going to become more aware of as you grow in confidence by doing the things that make you feel good. You're not going to grow in confidence by trying to force something to work that isn't working right now. I hope that makes sense. So a full moon in the 8th house is a lot about that. It's a lot about, again, the fears, the insecurities, the doubts. And I think that this reading is illustrating to you that there is a reason for those things, but you don't have to like micromanage and figure them all out and analyze them and do a psychoanalysis right now. It's almost like, what if we just focus more, North Node in the 10th house in Pisces, what if we focus more on the things that have a natural current to them, that are flowing, that feel good, that inspire us? And naturally, the other areas of life where we are lacking something, where we're insecure, where we're trying to force something, those areas will start to clear themselves up on their own as our overall energy of our life starts to improve. And it's almost like you get to fill up your cup that way. Because I think that that's part of what's making you feel not optimistic, is because you're not like resting or filling up your own cup in the ways that you need. And it's because you're trying to make something work that's not moving forward. And what if you just, again, focus on what does work so that you build the confidence to fill up your cup, to recognize why this wasn't working, and then fix that all later. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. I kind of trailed off at the end there, but yeah, that makes sense to me, but I'm the one saying it. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. We'll see in the comments down below. Let me know. If you want to learn astrology from me, I am going to run a astrology course. Cohort starts at the end of July. I'm going to link it in my description box down below if you want to sign up. It is a live cohort, small classes, and we're only going to run it once this year. So if you're interested, then definitely sign up, and I hope I will see you guys there. Don't forget to comment down below, like the video. Take care, and I love you. Bye. All right, I'm next to Cancer, Rising, and Sun. So this Capricorn full moon is happening on July 10th in your 7th house. So I wanted to warn you, I have some hiccups, so I really hope they don't come on again, but we'll see. So this full moon, I've been talking about how there is some level of disillusionment that we're feeling with Saturn and Neptune combined, and of course, ruling over this Capricorn full moon. I think some of us are feeling like a little bit off in certain ways, but then we're also meant to be finding a level of peace wherever our North Node in Pisces is. So I'm going to break this all down with the cards and weave in the astrology, and let's go ahead and get started. So full moon in the 7th house is definitely highlighting the longevity in relationships. We're looking at the contracts, the people that we work with, the people that we have in our everyday life, our romantic relationships, the people that we commit to. And you can have sometimes at this full moon, a vision or clarity or, more information come to you around those relationships and how they're going to work long term. Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, which is in your 10th house. So there could be questions around, how does this person or thing fit into the bigger picture in my life? And there can be some disillusionment there of feeling like, is this going to work? How does that work? I don't know, kind of losing a sense of hope in certain ways. This card speaks to the disillusionment. We have she who avenges, revenge outcomes, justice. And to me, this speaks about something feeling unfair, which is interesting because a full moon in the 7th, Seventh house is a lot about the justice system, the legal system, what is fair and just. So you guys could have some feeling of frustration or disillusionment that some kind of outcome that you're experiencing is not matching your energy, that something feels unfair, that you are worried or you're upset that like you're putting a certain amount of energy into something and you're getting X, Y, and Z back and it's falling short. So something here around feeling like there is a lack of justice, a lack of fairness, a lack of equality, a lack of something matching your energy, and that's causing some type of disillusionment. How you're going to bring peace is this focus card. And with your North Node in Pisces in the 9th house, this speaks to focusing on optimistic things. And this is an Archer too, which if you conflate signs and houses, the 9th house is related to Sagittarius, which is ruled by the Archer. So there's something here about having your sights set on the things that are most important to you, on the things that uplift you, on the mission that you're going or moving towards, and not allowing yourself to kind of get distracted by the little snags along the way. It's almost like I see somebody walking through the woods and they're going to the top of the mountain or whatever, and that's their mission. And along the way, maybe they're wearing a shirt that gets caught on some branches and it kind of pulls them back. And it's almost like energetically you could get stuck there. You could pause there and think, why is this happening to me? Why did my shirt get snagged? What does this mean? I don't know why this is, bothering me so much. Like, why is this distracting me, basically? And you could get off mission, off focus. And this is saying if there's little snags, annoying things, frustrating things, things that you don't understand, things that feel, again, maybe that they're not fair or they're not just or they're not working out or having the outcome that you wanted, don't get caught up on focusing on those. Focus on the thing that you want. Focus on the final outcome, because that is what's going to bring you peace. And the 9th house, which is where Pisces North Node is about having the higher vision, understanding the meaning of things, understanding the larger purpose of something, and not getting caught in the little minuscule snags of life. So focusing on the overarching destination and the mission and the truth of something, rather than the little annoyances and experiences that can distract you along the way. That is what will bring you peace. Okay, so this moon, like I mentioned, is in the 7th house. It is making a trine to Mars in the South Node in Virgo in your 3rd house. So wherever I'm seeing the moon in this Mars South Node, I'm seeing a little bit of like a worry or a stress coming through, a desire to have things figured out. So there could be something going on in terms of your mindset, your communication, or just like your overall depth of understanding of a situation that is potentially causing some level of rumination. So maybe in a relationship, people are saying or doing things that you don't understand, or maybe there's a communication issue with somebody at work, or maybe there is something in terms of your thoughts around relationships that are causing you to overthink things. But whatever this is, it feels like a overthinking, rumination, stress coming through the area of mind, communication, and relationships. So this is what we're meant to kind of bring peace around. And again, focusing on that larger mission is going to help you do that, instead of getting caught in the weeds of like, oh, but they said it this way, and what does that mean? It's like, it doesn't matter what that little thing meant, or what that that body language or that tone, those little things don't matter. It's like, how do I feel when I'm around that person? Do I feel better or worse? Do I feel like I'm leaving with energy or leaving depleted? Those are the questions, those larger overarching questions around relationships or the people in your life or the things that you commit to. Those are the questions you should ask, and focus on what you want to feel. And does this thing align with what you want to feel? And if it doesn't, then don't focus on that. Focus on what is next, or what will align with what you want to feel. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so what are some practical things that you can do here? We have Ace of Wands, the Star, the Nine of Wands. So part of this like journey for you guys, part of what Spirit wants from you with this full moon in your relationship sector is to have some type of like spark come to you with the Ace of Wands and the Star card, that gives you a sense of belief and endurance for whatever you're wanting to achieve. So if this is, whether this is like a commitment to a company and a relationship like that, or like a personal relationship, whatever it is, you are meant to be strong. You are meant to have endurance. You are meant to play the long game. You are meant to be wise and to not lose hope. With the Ace of Wands and the Star, it's like you're meant to be gaining enough hope and perspective to be able to stay focused on the long-term mission and goal and not lose sight of where you're headed. I feel like that is a huge piece of advice that we already kind of talked about here. The second practical advice we have is Five of Wands, Devil, Ten of Swords, Temperance, and the Queen of Wands in reverse. So I think it's interesting, the two cards that start and end this, we have Five of Wands and then the Queen of Wands in reverse. To me, this is like fighting, having a misunderstanding with people, having people on two different pages, or this could even be internal discord where you have two different parts that are on two different pages. Like part of you wants this, part of you wants that. Whatever this is, Five of Wands represents disharmony and discord, and the Queen of Wands in reverse represents a lack of confidence, a lack of follow through, you know, feeling like you're losing some of your spark or some of your belief in yourself or some of your vitality in life and your excitement about something. So there's something about inner discord or relationship discord that is causing you to lose your edge. It's causing you to doubt yourself, to undermine your confidence in your self-worth. And that is what I think part of what you're meant to be working on with the Devil, the Ten of Swords, and Temperance. I feel like you could be needing to break free from some limiting beliefs or from some just beliefs or thoughts or like patterns, like communication patterns. I think a lot of it is thoughts though, because of that Mars South Node in the third. But there's some kind of like thought system that you guys really need to let go of because it's keeping you stuck. And with the Temperance card, it's meant to be, you're meant to heal. You're meant to come into a balanced perspective over yourself and the situation. You're meant to not get so entangled in your own thoughts and ideas with things that you trip up and start to, again, undermine your own sense of self-worth and confidence. Because it's almost like you get snagged by that limb on the way up to the mountain and you start doubting yourself. It's like, oh, why did I let myself get snagged? What did I do wrong? Why am I doing this? I'm not good enough. This always happens to me. Like, obviously it doesn't have to be like that, but that's the vibe I'm getting. It's like you're getting entranced and entangled in these like negative thought patterns that you need to put an end to and come back to a place of perspective, of balance, of moderation, of, you know, peace, healing, understanding, compassion, and again, perspective. That's North Node and Ninth House. You're meant to be gaining like a higher perspective on the situation rather than caught in the minuscule things, because if you allow yourself to sit there, it will start to drain you. So that's the overall guidance for you guys. I hope that you did enjoy this. Please let me know in the comments down below if you did or if it's helpful for you. If you guys want to learn astrology from me, I am running a live cohort, the only one this year. So if you want to join, I'm going to put the sales page in my description box down below. So make sure that you check it out. I also have a workshop there on the moon, the psychology of the moon, that is kind of like a little sample of some of the stuff we'll cover in the course. So if you're interested in that workshop, you can find that on the sales page as well. And don't forget to comment, give me a like, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Leo rising and sun. So for you guys, this Capricorn full moon on July 10th is taking place in your 6th house. So what I've been describing about this full moon is that we're experiencing some level of like disillusionment or disappointment because this moon is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is conjunct Neptune in your 9th house. Saturn and Neptune together, it's like creating a sense of realism and pessimism with the naivete and innocence and idealism of Neptune. And that combination can create this feeling of like disappointment that something in our reality isn't living up to the dream expectation that we had. So that's going on. And then there's also a simultaneous need to like find peace here and move towards some long-term goal that is illuminated by this full moon in Capricorn. For this full moon being in your 6th house, there is something around like work or responsibilities that is highlighted for you, although the cards are really speaking about relationships, so we can talk about that. But anyway, yeah, the 6th house is usually a lot to deal with, again, work. And with this moon trining the South Node in Mars in the 2nd house of money, I could see you guys getting a little bit like disillusioned or stressed. Maybe not disillusioned, but I can see you guys getting stressed or worked up around money or physical, material, practical matters. So like not having enough time, you know, feeling like your health is not where you want it to be, or feeling like your money isn't where you want it to be. Something like that, where it's more like material or physical in nature that you're worried about how it's doing. And you might be kind of, overdoing certain things, like trying to overwork or over stressing about money or being overly practical with certain things. That's very possible at this time. And this, with having Saturn and Neptune in the 9th, I think that part of you might be like a little bit, like questioning a little bit the faith and trust that you have in the universe to provide or for things to like work out well. So it's almost like I'm getting a sense of you guys getting kind of stressed because you're like, I have to survive and I have to make sure that I take care of myself and that, you know, I have enough money and that I can have enough food and, or whatever it is. I don't know. It just feels like, a scarcity mindset with something in your world and a lack of faith or trust in the universe right now. And yeah, I don't know, the She Who Hopes and the She Who Forgives card, these are the areas that are where you might feel like disillusioned. You might feel that, I mean, separate message, but you might feel like certain relationships are disappointing you in certain ways and certain elements of the past could be lingering in your heart. That's based off of the cards, not the astrology. Some of you guys might feel like a lack of hope, again, in the universe. I don't know, I just kind of like a jadedness almost. You might feel like jaded for other people, like, oh, other people are suffering, other people are struggling, and I feel guilty for what I have. So something like that, where it's like losing hope in humanity, losing hope in things with the world, and feeling maybe a little bit like disillusioned by this human existence and the material strife that we have and how we can't agree with each other and how, you know, so many people are experiencing lack or so many people are suffering, like something like that. I could see you kind of like feeling disillusioned around like the well-being of people, or yourself or your relationships. What's going to bring you peace with the sun in Cancer in the 12th house and how it's trining the North Node in the 8th house in Pisces, this to me is where we bring our peace. And I pulled the Secrets card to kind of go along with this. And I find it interesting because the 12th house is, and the 8th house also, are the house of secrets. So there's something here around like first of all, that there are unknown factors at play that you might not see yet that can bring you a sense of peace. So understanding that there's a lot outside of your awareness, and that can be a good thing. You know, like you might not see that there's actually a lot of good because maybe all this stuff that is represented on media is really negative, for example. And so you kind of have to like look for the things that are not as obvious. Another way that this card could represent is bearing your heart to others. So sharing your inner world, your secret world, your emotional nature, your hidden thoughts with other people can also be a way to create intimacy, connection, and feeling like you're not alone, feeling like you're safe because other people maybe think the same things as you. Secrets can also represent the advice to maybe disconnect a little bit more from the world and to make things more of a mystery rather than trying to be plugged into the matrix and the material world so much and like worrying all about that. Like, what if you take a step back and go out into nature, or involve yourself in spiritual practices, or things that are less tangible, things that are, not online, or that are not like so in the mind, but are more in the energetic, spiritual, emotional experience, rather than the physical, mental experience. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's almost like creating space from you in the physical world, and instead trying to go into relationships and trusting people, and opening up to people, or going into a spiritual practice and making yourself open to that, or I don't know, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, so now let's talk about advice, like practical steps here. We have Queen of Pentacles, Four of Wands, Nine of Cups. So this to me really speaks to having some kind of stability within the home, or within relationships, or within your finances, and those can probably all be combined. So having, like, with the Nine of Cups is a wish fulfillment. So really it could hit on every area, but I feel like this is the universe. This isn't really like a practical step as much as it is almost like a reassurance that things are actually okay. And I feel like it's wanting you to recognize that your wishes right now are being fulfilled, that, you're actually, if you look at how much money you have, you're actually okay. You actually have what you need. You can actually feed yourself. The Four of Wands, you have a roof over your head. You have people in your life. You're not totally alone. Like, I think this card is trying to tell you, I guess the practical thing would be maybe to practice gratitude and recognize that things are more stable than you realize, or that you have more of your wishes fulfilled than you're thinking about right now. The other sets of cards for practical advice, you have Emperor, Eight of Swords in reverse, the Star, Three of Cups, Two of Cups. Again, really relationship-oriented cards, which is weird given the astrology. But the Emperor and the Eight of Swords, I feel like, is somebody who is taking control over their environment, over the media that they're ingesting, the things that they're doing on a day-to-day basis, which is super Capricorn Moon in the 6th house. It's like, what am I spending my time on? What work am I doing? Or am I exercising? Or am I taking care of other people or the house? Like, what are you literally doing with your time every day? That is the 6th house. It's what runs our life, like clockwork, or anyway. So the Emperor is somebody who has control over that. And with the Eight of Swords in reverse, they are actively seeking to control what they do on a day-to-day basis in their environment and their work in a way that is going to provide them a sense of peace. So whether this is saving money, because maybe you're stressed about money. So, okay, I'm going to control my environment by having a budget and doing my best to work within this budget. Or I'm going to control my environment by, I don't have a job right now and I'm low on money, so I'm going to go and apply to 10 organizations per day, and I'm going to build my CV. It's like taking practical material steps to change things in your day-to-day world and environment and what you do to alleviate the stress that you're feeling. If it's social media that's stressing you out and things of the world, how can you get off of social media and go more into nature? If it is, I don't know, whatever this is, it's like, what you could do to make it better. So you need to do that. It's really simple. The Star, the Three of Cups, and the Two of Cups is to turn to your relationships. If you have a partner, to turn to your partner. If you don't have a partner, this could represent the potential for you to meet somebody at some point. But anyway, I think that this is really just saying that there are people that really get you. There are people that love you. There are people that want to like do fun things with you and take your mind off of the harshness of the world. And there are things that you could do to like fill up your cup. So turn to those relationships, turn to those social outings, go to that party, do that fun thing. You can still get your shit done in the material world and have fun socially. And that is what's going to create this peace in your life. Because I think you need connection right now. And I think you need to open up to people. And again, recognize that like you're stronger with other people, which is a very North Node in the 8th house experience. It's relying more on the people around you and recognizing that, people can, in relationship, you can fill up each other's cup in a way that you just can't fully do on your own. So Yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you, Leo. I hope that that's helpful for you. If so, let me know in the comments down below. I am running an astrology course mentorship thing that's going to start at the end of July. It's a live cohort, and I'm only going to run it once this year. So if you're interested in checking that out, I will have my sales page in the description box down below. And on that sales page, I have a whole workshop on the psychology of the moon, which is kind of like a little snippet of some of the topics that we'll cover in the course. So if you want to check out my teaching style and learn from me a little bit in that course or that workshop, go ahead and check that out for free, and then you can sign up for the course if you're interested. So I hope to see you guys there. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, comment down below, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Virgo rising and sun. This Capricorn full moon happening on July 10th is taking place in your 5th house. So what is this going to bring for us? Well, the Capricorn full moon is going to bring some kind of clarity on a long-term path. And it could bring feelings also of disillusionment, because the ruler of this full moon, Capricorn full moon, is Saturn. And Saturn is conjunct Neptune in your 8th house. So there can be sometimes like insecurities, anxiety, worry about money can also be a thing, or personal power and confidence during this time. So you might be looking ahead at this long-term path, and in some ways feeling hopeful, and in other ways feeling disillusioned, and like the expectations that you have are not being met. So let's talk about this in terms of the tarot, and we'll weave in the rest of the astrology. So we have the cards: she who surprises, surprise, discovery, revelation; she who begins, launch, actualize, and potential. These cards speak to the disillusionment piece. So I pulled them specifically for that. And I feel like this is speaking to there being something that you're starting, something that is relatively new in your life, or that you want to get up off the ground. And it might have some unexpected twists and turns to it, or it might not meet certain expectations. And that could cause a feeling of disillusionment. Maybe you feel like you should be further along, or something should be easier, or something should be more successful, or you should know more about something, or something should feel like it's flowing really, really well. But the beginning could indicate that maybe there is some scarcity or some fear around this beginning, or you begin it and then you encounter some things along the way that, again, don't work out exactly how you thought. And this actually makes a lot of sense, because this moon is making a trine to Mars in the South Node in Virgo in your 1st house. So there can be a lot of potential of overthinking right now, especially about yourself, your life plan, how confident or how much you believe in yourself, where you feel like you're going, how you think you're doing. And so it could be a time where you kind of get a little bit like stressed out, overthinking things about yourself. The moon in the 5th house is supposed to be, creative adventures, or things that we start that we're really fascinated by, that are hobbies or particular, interests of ours that bring us a lot of joy. It could be traveling too. But I don't know, there's something around this that you might be a little bit stressed about or overthinking. But your advice in order to find peace is devotion. So first of all, this card speaks to meditation and spiritual practices. So yeah, that's obviously a big part of this. But another thing, I think, is just staying devoted to your path, not giving up at the first sign of, surprise, or a first issue that pops up. It's like sometimes that's part of the journey. And so the devotion card is saying, find peace in the fact that you can still get to where you want to go, even if things don't always look, or the journey doesn't always look the way you thought it would. So if things maybe take longer, or if there's certain hurdles you have to overcome, or if you lack self-belief and that has to be developed over time, that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to do that thing. So devotion speaks to staying the course. And I also think that we'll find peace wherever the sun, which is trining the North Node in the 7th house. So the sun is in the 11th in Cancer, trining North Node in Pisces in your 7th. And this is where I think we're going to find peace, is through this aspect. And that comes through relationships. So it's going to be the people in your life, the people surrounding you, your friends, your family, your partner, the people that you work with, your colleagues. That's going to be where you can find peace, is enjoyment of those relationships and trust in those connections. And focusing on that is going to be really helpful for you. I think we can see that here with the 8 of Cups. So this is your practical advice, because as a Capricorn full moon, it's an earth sign, it's a very practical sign. So I wanted to get some practical steps that you should take. So we have 8 of Cups, 6 of Wands to clarify, and the Knight of Cups. So to me, this is somebody that needs to kind of let go, because the 8 of Cups is a lot around walking away, letting go of something, kind of escaping a little bit into a fantasy land. You're meant to kind of escape right now into that. With the Knight of Cups, maybe there is a new relationship that you can focus on, or the love of the people around you, or creative inspiration that you have, or something that feels like you like to daydream about it. I think it's important to focus on that rather than with the 6 of Wands, rather than having some type of success or accolade or achievement or recognition, or feeling like you're, getting on top of the world. Because yeah, I think a full moon in Capricorn, the 5th house, a lot of what you want is maybe some type of, creative inspiration is part of it, but also the 5th house has also to do with visibility and recognition. And so if that is you, if you are wanting recognition for something, your advice right now is to actually kind of not focus on that, because that, I think, is going to detract from your overall goal and happiness. So the thing to focus on with the Knight of Cups is your relationships and what inspires you creatively. So if there is something that you can do with your time to kind of stoke that flame of inspiration, if you're following your heart and you're taking action on, what your heart inspires you to do, that is going to be the best place to put your focus. Your next step of advice is 6 of Swords, 5 of Cups reverse, Hierophant with 5 of Pentacles clarifying, and 9 of Cups. So I feel like this is trying to say, with the 6 of Swords and 5 of Cups in reverse, that you guys are going through a period of transitioning out of a difficult phase in life. You might not realize that you are now in a new chapter. Things are really shifting. I mean, I know you just had Uranus move into Gemini, which is in your 10th house. So things are changing on your life path. Things are changing in terms of your future, your goals, your career. A lot is going to shift for you, and energetically, we're turning over a new leaf, because now the final kind of outer planet has changed signs. We started with Pluto, then we went to Neptune, then we went to Saturn, now we're at Uranus, and all these slow outer planets, and then Jupiter, of course. They've all shifted signs into Aquarius, Gemini, Cancer, Aries. So we're shifting all of our energies, and we've now finally entered into this new cycle. And I think that you guys might still feel like you're in an old cycle, or like old energy is kind of lingering around, or you might feel like you're in an in-between phase, in between 2 chapters. So this full moon is trying to tell you that you are in a new phase of life, and you can trust that it's not going to be as disappointing. With this 5 of Cups in reverse, things might have been challenging for you, especially with Saturn moving through Gemini, because that was squaring your ascendant or your sun. And it could have just provided a lot of stress. Saturn moving through Gemini, Saturn moving through Pisces. Not squaring, it would have opposed your ascendant or your sun, excuse me. So it could have been difficult. It could have been hard for relationships. It could have been hard for your feeling of belonging or feeling hopeful about your life. And so chapter is truly done. And I think that you need to know that. The Hierophant with the 5 of Pentacles represents staying committed to something. The Hierophant is a card often associated with marriage or with study or with something involving traditional institutions like universities or churches or things of that nature. So there is some kind of like commitment to something that you're being asked to focus on. Again, this devotion card, I feel like the Hierophant is working in tandem with that. And the clarifier is a 5 of Pentacles. So I feel like it's trying to tell you to stay devoted even when it feels like there's maybe a lull or a lack of finances or a lack of support with something, or maybe some self-doubt or some uncertainty. It's saying continue to stay committed to the thing, this new chapter, I guess, or this thing that you're interested in developing, and recognize that you are not in this old cycle. You're not just going to repeat things of the past, especially relationship wise. You're in a new cycle, especially career wise, because you are having Uranus again moving through your career sector. And it's important to kind of let go of the focus on what is absent and focus with the Nine of Cups on what it is that you're trying to create in your life, to manifest. The Nine of Cups is a wish fulfillment card. So it's saying you can absolutely get your wish, and that in this new chapter you will, even if there are pockets of lack or frustration or uncertainty, the wish is still coming to fruition for you. So I feel like this is almost a reading of reassurance, like stay devoted to your path, even if there are moments of uncertainty, and focus your energy on the things that you want to create. Focus your energy on your relationships and the things that are going well in your relationships. Focus well on the things that inspire you or that you want to take action on, that your heart is telling you to do, and put your energy there rather than trying to worry about the accolades and is this victorious? Am I successful? Am I good enough? Do I have enough money? Is this going well enough? Like those things, yes, they are happening, but it's almost trying to tell you to not put your energy there, because you're actually in a new cycle and there's just some lingering energy from the old that you're moving through right now. And it's kind of being washed away. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. I hope that this is helpful. If so, comment down below how this relates to your life. That's always helpful for me as well as an astrologer. If you want to learn astrology with me, I am running a live cohort mentorship, and it is only going to be once this year. And yeah, we'll see in the future. I don't know. But if you're interested in that, it's going to be running towards the end of July, and you can check out my course page or the sales page with a free workshop in there that kind of gives you a taste of the work that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, or the teachings. So if you're interested in checking that out, I will have my sales page linked in the description box down below. Don't forget to like and comment on this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye guys. All right, up next we have Libra rising and sun. So the Capricorn full moon on July 10th is happening in your 4th house. And there's a mixture of messages here that I pulled the cards for. And how I see this full moon is having some kind of clarity around a long-term goal, but also at the same time experiencing some frustrations or disillusionment around current experiences surrounding that goal, or like where you're currently at. And we're meant to find some peace around this so we can continue to move forward. So what does this look like for you guys? Well, first of all, having the full moon in the 4th house can indicate that some of this has to do with emotional security, well-being, and feeling maybe this disillusionment when it comes to relationships, because the ruler of this moon, Saturn, is conjunct Neptune in your 7th house. So there could be some things that involve other people or your commitments to a company or partnership of some sort that could feel, again, like there's some disillusionment there. And I feel like part of the stress for you guys is the fact that this moon trines Mars South Node in Virgo in your 12th. There can be some stressors in regards to things that are outside of your control. And I can see that here with this card, She Who Frees, Liberation, Unrestrained Freedom. I think that some of you guys may experience, again, some level of disillusionment or stress around things that are unrestrained, that are unpredictable, that are outside of your control, that are unknown. The liberation card, freedom can feel really good when it comes to, freedom of choice and things of that nature. But when it's, other people's choices or things, again, that are like dictated by maybe society or by a government or by, other people or by unknown factors, it can feel a little bit stressful, because again, that's not personal freedom. It's something that is chosen for you. So for example, if you're trying to apply to a university, this is probably not the best example because this is more about home and relationships, but let's just say you're trying to apply to university. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. You don't know if you're going to get in. You don't know what that institution will choose for you. So there's something about that I think is kind of stressful right now, of like the unknowns, the uncontrollable, and how that plays into your future and your relationships and your home and your emotional well-being and your sense of security. You might feel a little flustered around like so many unknown factors. Part of your advice here for living in peace is to be adaptable, to kind of accept the unknowns about life and recognize that things are going to come up that surprise you, or life is not going to turn out how you think. And it's important to remain agile and adaptable, in order to actually feel safe and to feel secure and to feel emotionally centered and to make the right decisions. You have to be willing to have circumstances turn out differently than you think. You have to kind of be emotionally adaptable to find security through the ups and downs, or the twists and turns and the unknowns in life. So this is kind of trying to tell you not to hold too tightly to one way of being at this time, or to one idea of what things should be like. Especially right now, because you're ruled by Venus, and Venus during this full moon is conjunct Uranus. So there is a quality of unpredictability and surprise that comes from Uranus, and it can affect really any area of your life, but especially relationships and even what you think about things. So it's important to leave a lot of room for the unknown at this time. The North Node is where I think we can also find some level of peace, and that is in your 6th house right now in Pisces. So I definitely think that focusing on the things that you can control in terms of your health, your routine, your body, what decisions do you make around sleep, food, exercise, those are things that you can put your energy and attention to, as well as kind of like your work or your productivity or what you're doing day to day. So focus on the things that are within your locus of control, and then be adaptable and open-minded for the things that are not. Okay, so we have some practical advice. This is a Capricorn full moon after all. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a breakdown of certain things that you should do or should focus on. So we have the Knight of Swords in reverse, the 5 of Swords upright, 9 of Pentacles, Page of Swords, and 6 of Wands. So first of all, the Knight of Swords in reverse, there is a little bit of an indication here to not take impulsive action. The Knight of Swords upright is very fast, it's decisive, it knows what it wants, and it immediately goes for it without really overthinking. With this card in reverse, I think that, impulsivity, you might be prone to it right now with Uranus next to your chart, planetary ruler Venus. You may be a little bit prone to impulsivity, but this is kind of trying to warn you against it. Especially with the 5 of Swords, like be careful that you don't say something that you don't mean. Does that make sense? It's like a double negative. But yeah, the 5 of Swords, you can see this guy kind of like stab someone in the back, and he won something, but at what cost? So there's something here around, just being kind of like careful or wise with the things that you're saying, the decisions that you're making. Because if you act from a place of impulsivity or speak from a place that's not well thought out, you may turn out like to regret that. So that's one piece of advice. The 9 of Pentacles, Page of Swords, 6 of Wands. It's interesting because we got quite a bit of Swords cards, which again, it has a lot to deal with communication and the mindset that you're in. So it's like trying to tell you to kind of be in a good headspace and a logical headspace before proceeding to express your feelings or make a decision. The 9 of Pentacles also wants, like, part of the headspace that I think you're meant to be in is a not self-centered place, but the 9 of Pentacles is usually where we are focused on what is going to be good for me as an individual. So with, the ruler of this full moon, Saturn, in the 7th house, there is a lot of focus on relationships at this time. And it's not to say that you shouldn't be investing in relationships, but I do think that the decisions that you make in your life right now need to be coming from a place of the individual rather than the group or the partnership. So for example, if you're wanting to live somewhere but your partner doesn't want to, but you know that this is really important to you and it's going to develop your career and this life path that you really want to go down, it's important to not sacrifice what you need in your personal life for a relationship or a previous commitment. The Nine of Pentacles is really having you come from a place of independence in your thinking. And so I just think it's important to consider yourself. What is good for me? What do I need for my own security, for my own well-being long term? And the Page of Swords is also a card of kind of being able to communicate that with the people in your life, or to have like a curious and open mind as to what that could look like. And I do think that actually with the Six of Wands here, with this being like depicted with a wedding on here, if there's something going on with relationships, I do think that choosing something that kind of puts yourself at the focus, but communicating openly and curiously with another person can end up with a really successful relationship. So I don't think that this is going to take away from a partnership or a commitment or an existing friendship to make a decision for yourself, as long as there's open communication with another person or this other entity that's involved. I hope that makes sense. So for example, like I said, if you want to start a new career path or move somewhere or do something like that, I actually don't think it's going to destroy the existing connections and commitments that you have to do that if you communicate openly about how could we go about this to where we can both get our individual needs met with this. Your second piece of advice, so yeah, again, this is like really approaching the conversation without trying to like jump into things or be impulsive or, emotional, trying to win something. That's not the goal. The goal is to be centered in yourself and your needs first, and then communicate really clearly with someone from an open-minded, curious, and non-judgmental place, and come to a point of agreement around how we can do something for yourself as an independent person, but while still serving the relationship. Okay, so we have the Queen of Cups, the Nine of Swords, Six of Cups, Eight of Pentacles as your next step of practical advice. So the Queen of Cups is somebody who is very emotionally open and expressive and compassionate and caring. So I definitely feel like you are meant to be coming from a very like heart-centered and open and vulnerable but caring place. The Nine of Swords and Six of Cups to me indicates that this can be thrown off balance, your emotional maturity and openness, when you start getting into your fears and your childhood woundings. Like all of your little trigger points can start to come out and distort yourself, like your emotional self, and make you feel irrational, or make you feel like, sad or fearful or argumentative. Coming from it ungrounds you basically, or throws you off balance to go back to these like childhood issues or fears from of something repeating from the past, or something bringing up the past emotionally. And the Eight of Pentacles suggests the need to work on this. So you guys are meant to be doing inner work, maybe going to therapy or journaling, or making sure that you're not ignoring your trigger points, because you're meant to be, with the Queen of Cups, really emotionally mature and coming at this situation, especially relationally, from a place of emotional balancedness, being emotionally balanced. So, yeah, I think that's really important here. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Yeah, I mean, I guess, like I said before, I just think that you guys are going to have some element of unknown factors at play. And it's important to come from a really centered place when communicating or when expressing yourself, because you might have a lot of fear of the unknown that can leak into your emotions or your expression, your communication, and cause disruption in the relationship. Instead, be open-minded and adaptable for how things can turn out differently than than initially expected. And it's going to help the relationship or whatever this is, this commitment, it's going to help it remain healthy and balanced. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Libra. If that makes sense for you, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys want to learn astrology from me, I am now launching a live mentorship starting at the end of July. And it's the only one this year. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to have a course sales page along with a workshop, a free workshop on the psychology of the moon, which is kind of a snippet of some of the things that I teach about. So that's like over an hour long. If you're interested in kind of learning my style of teaching and things that you'll be discovering in this mentorship, then check that out. Again, the link is in my description box down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Scorpio rising and sun. This Capricorn full moon happening on July 10th is taking place in your 3rd house. So I do see this as a full moon where we can have some clarity come through about a long-term goal, but we might also feel, an equal amount of disillusionment where we're like, this isn't as easy as I thought, or I'm having some things go wrong. For you, this disillusionment I see is coming through with Saturn and Neptune conjunct being in the 6th house. So there might be like a little bit of this overthinking, stressing. Maybe your work isn't working out as well as you would like. Maybe you're really busy. Maybe your health isn't the best and you have to go through something health-wise that's a little bit scary or frustrating. Whatever it is, I feel like it's kind of getting you in your head a little bit here. And I think, especially with this moon trining the South Node and Mars, there is a stress happening. And it can be especially through like what you see online or your friends. You might be just like overthinking relationships or your goals. You might be getting in your own head quite a bit. Especially with this card, she who wishes, wish, desire, and hope. This is the card of disillusionment. You might feel like there is some desire or hope that you have, which is very much 11th house, that you are overthinking right now, that you're worried isn't going to happen, that you are feeling like is missing in your life. And that can be really common when your planetary rulers conjunct the South Node. Some past issues can come back up to the surface, as well as just feeling overall a little bit more depleted or feeling a little bit less like hopeful about things. So I just can see you guys having some particular wish that you're not seeing fully manifest right now. And you could kind of be getting frustrated or just feeling really like down about it. Part of what you're meant to do to find peace is the moon card. So the moon is representing cycles of life, understanding that there is divine timing at play and that we're not always meant to be experiencing, periods of growth or periods of getting exactly what we want or expansion or abundance. There are moments of stillness when the moon, for example, is waning, or is a new moon when it's dark. So there are times in our life where we're meant to be really full and have a lot going on and feeling like we're blessed. And there are other times in our life where we're meant to be going through periods of detachment, self-reflection, and pausing, or having to process some emotions or heal something, let something go. So respecting the cycle of life that you're in and not trying to get overly attached to something, I think is really, really important for all of us right now. The moon also represents understanding that there's a lot happening behind the scenes that the universe is orchestrating and pulling the strings with. And I think you can see that kind of with this 2 of Wands. It feels like, it seems almost like the image here kind of seems like, in certain ways, it reminds me of, what are those dolls that you like pull the strings? I do not remember. Comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. But you like a puppet kind of thing, on a string. There's things like that are going on behind the scenes in the universe that you don't see. And I think it's important to respect that. And that is why divine timing is a thing, because the universe is aligning certain things in your life and you need to go through certain experiences, or maybe you need to meet somebody and that person isn't ready to meet you yet because they're going through certain experiences first to make sure that the relationship works. Whatever it is, it's like it needs its space to unfold naturally without pressure. And that is what's going to bring you peace. And the North Node, I think, is a symbol of that. And with the North Node in Pisces in the 5th house, part of how you can find peace is by being more present and just doing things that feel fun to you and not putting so much pressure on, you know, I got to be so productive and I got to meet these deadlines and I got to meet these life goals and it's got to look like this. It's like, what if you can just have fun? And I think that that's a really big part of the overall focus for you guys right now is what feels good, what brings me joy, and what makes me feel alive and expresses who I am without having to have all these pressures that a Capricorn full moon can do. It can make you feel behind. It can make you feel like something is missing or that you're not doing good enough. And I think that that's a big part of where we get dissatisfied from. So how can you focus instead on the things that bring you joy right now? So what are some pieces of practical advice for you? We have the High Priestess, the Ace of Cups, the Two of Wands. So the High Priestess is, again, a card that speaks about a lot of things that are outside of your awareness. It's a card of like invisibility or not seeing something, just like the moon is. So there is quite a lot happening that you cannot see. And this High Priestess is reminding you to trust the things that you can't see, have faith, and just trust your intuition as well. With the Ace of Cups, I feel like this is saying that the universe is preparing, it has a plan for you for some kind of new emotional beginning. Maybe it'll be, success in the workplace, if that's something you want, or a new relationship, or some kind of emotionally fulfilling path. And the universe is planning this for you. And I think it's just telling you to trust your instincts on this, or trust your intuition about this, and that there's a lot, again, happening that you can't see. So don't try to force anything right now with it. The next set of advice we have is the Three of Swords, the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, Queen of Pentacles upright, Two of Swords reverse, and then the Knight of Pentacles. So these Three of Swords upright and Ten of Pentacles reverse can indicate either having like a financial issue where you feel maybe insecure or upset about financial matters, or there could be a family issue where you feel like, oh, I want to have a family, but I don't, or there's issues with my family, or just like your feeling of being surrounded by people you love and really stable in that way. With the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, it could feel something like something is disappointing or not working out. And the Three of Swords represents pain around that. So either you're feeling some kind of lack or issue within the family, or your finances or relationships kind of situation, and it's bringing you discomfort. So that's the backdrop of this. But with the Queen of Pentacles, I really feel like you guys are meant to be kind of taking care of business. The Queen of Pentacles is somebody who's good at like taking care of their home, taking care of their finances, taking care of themselves. So there might be a little bit more of, sorry, I'm like trying to cross my legs and my leg fell. Let me pull a clarifier here, but there might be a little bit more here of a need to kind of be like self-reliant in some way, because we have the Ten of Pentacles where all these people are here, and then it's in reverse, and then after we just have the Queen of Pentacles. So it's like, what if you just focus more on what's happening right here, right now, focusing a little bit more on yourself. We have the Magician in reverse. Yeah, and focusing on like how to live up to your fullest potential with this Magician in reverse. I do think that the element of prosperity or support or family or a relationship, whatever the wish is, I think that's going to pull through for you. But first, you need to like fully cook, to fully develop. And that's why I said with the Moon card, I think that you might be in a cycle or like a chapter that you are working on something with and you don't know it. And there's things happening to develop you as a person behind the scene. And I think that the universe wants you to know that, again, there's things that you can't see, and they're going to be revealed to you as you further develop your skill in something. So maybe you need to develop a skill in your career. Maybe you need to learn more about something. That's really common with a full moon in the third house. You need to go back to school, or you need to continue your education with something. But there's something that you haven't quite mastered yet, or that you need to develop further. And as you do that, it's going to reveal to you the kind of what's been happening behind the scenes or your next steps with something. With the Knight of Pentacles, I think that you are meant to be, again, like working consistently on something that is for yourself, for your personal development, for your personal growth, for your career development, your career growth, your money development. There's some skill or some attribute or characteristic or something that you want to be that you are not, like, again, fully cooked with. And I think, again, with the Two of Swords in reverse, I think you're going to know the path forward the more that you work on this. And it's going to create a level of stability in your life that is going to be the foundation in which you can then attract the wish that you want. So for example, let's say that you really want a family. You really, really want to have kids, but you haven't met your partner and you're not in a place financially where you can do that yet. So you're single and you don't have the money, let's just say. Well, this is telling you that that might be causing you a lot of pain to feel the discrepancy between what you want and where you are. But it's saying that maybe actually you need to build up your career and focus on building up your health to physically and financially in the material world prepare for the thing that you want. So if you want to have kids, you need money. If you want to have kids and you are going to give birth, for example, your body needs to be prepared. So it's like, how do we build that up? Build that really, really stable foundation. And from there, you'll have clarity on what you need to do to continue to attract the right things that will eventually manifest a partner and financial success to have a kid. So that's what I feel like this is saying, is you're not stable in and of yourself yet. You might think that you are, but there are some areas that are not fully cooked, fully developed that need to be worked on for that next chapter, for this wish to actually come in for you. And the Moon card is telling you to respect where you are at and not try to force this wish to happen, because if it happened now, it might actually not take hold because you are not stable enough yet. You have not built up every area of life that you need to build up yet. But once you do that, then it will lay the foundation for this to successfully take root and for your wish to manifest. So respect where you're at, respect divine timing, and put the emphasis into the areas of life that you need to develop that are not living up to your potential as of yet. And you will know when you're hearing this what areas of life this pertains to. So that's your message. Let me know, Scorpio, if this is helpful for you or resonates. If it does, let me know how it relates to your life in the comments down below. If you want to learn astrology from me, I am going to run a live cohort mentorship starting at the end of July. And it is going to be limited quantity. I'm sure, it's going to be small regardless. So if you want to join, if you want to kind of have quite a bit of, time with me and to learn from me, then you can check out my sales page for it, which I will link in the description. And in that, I have the workshop, a little preview of kind of the energy the topics that I'm going to be covering and whatnot, and the psychology of the moon and things like that. So if you're interested in learning about the workshop or the course in general, the mentorship, then check out that link in my description. And I hope you guys have a beautiful day. All right, I'm next to Sagittarius rising and sun. This Capricorn full moon on July 10th is taking place in your second house. But Saturn, the ruler of this moon, is conjunct Neptune in your fifth. So how I perceive some of this full moon is that we're getting clarity a little bit on our long-term goals, but we can also feel some type of disillusionment because Saturn being conjunct Neptune can have that effect. So what is this going to mean for you? So there is some type of enlightenment, clarity coming, especially in the area of finances, of stability. But with Saturn conjunct Neptune in the fifth, there can be things that may feel like they are impractical, or you might worry about the beginning of them. And I say that because I also pulled the She Who Begins card, launch, actualize, and potential. So there's something that you might want to start or that you've already started that you might be worried about or disillusioned about in some way. Maybe it got off on the wrong footing, or you're worried it won't ever start, or you're worried about something along this path in particular. And the Saturn Neptune in the fifth, usually it's, very trusting the fifth house. It's much more like a playfulness and in a flow state and having fun. But with these planets together here, you might feel like it's a little bit, maybe not as enjoyable as other times, or maybe you feel a little bit more worried or just disconnected. And I definitely think that we're worrying right now because this moon is trining Mars and the South Node in Virgo in the 10th house, which can really have you like overthinking things when it comes to certain goals that you have, or maybe even career developments. You might be thinking long term and just over analyzing, again, worrying a little bit too much. So yeah, I think that there can be either a false start right now or overthinking about something that you could just be enjoying that is new in your life. And one of the ways that you're meant to be, coming back to a sense of peace is through this card, romantic love, as well as the North Node in the 4th house. So with the North Node of Pisces in the 4th, part of how you're meant to be kind of coming back to yourself and being at peace is through your family, through your home environment, through time by yourself or time nesting, kind of having some time to just relax or to just be at home and create a nice environment for yourself. The other piece of this is the romantic love card, which speaks to obviously relationships. And Uranus just moved into your 7th house of partnerships. So there are changes and developments happening in your relationships that can offer you a sense of peace if you're willing to accept them. So that's going to look different for everybody. Maybe some of you guys are going to commit to somebody. Maybe some of you guys are leaving something. Maybe you're having just changes to the dynamic with someone in your life that is important to you. But regardless, whatever it is it's creating more authenticity, more freedom, and the ability to connect with this romantic love. So that your relationships should be an outlet for you to find peace, even if you're worried about something new that you've just begun or that you're about to begin. So especially career-wise again. And yeah, I don't know, you might be worried about finances, or finances and practical matters and career matters might be really top of mind for you. And you might have some insights about that, but also feel kind of disillusioned about it as well. Feeling maybe like less in flow around it. And part of your practical advice here are these cards with the King of Wands, the Sun, 7 of Swords, Devil, and 5 of Cups in reverse. So King of Wands and the Sun to me is the 5th house. It is the creative energy. It's feeling inspired. It's feeling clear around what you want or how you feel about something. Being in flow, really trusting, enjoying the things that you're doing. And taking kind of like the leadership over your own life as well, and allowing yourself to be seen, to be visible, to be appreciated. So those are all qualities right now that you're meant to be in, but you might also have some things that undermine that. So maybe you are, meant to be in the spotlight or creatively inspired right now, or, pursuing something that is exciting to you. But with the 7 of Swords and the Devil card, you might be undermining your ability to access this kind of vital and inspired energy. With the 7 of Swords and Devil, you might have some sneaky habits or some sneaky thought patterns, or some things that are kind of just internally getting in the way of your light, you being able to tap into light, being able to enjoy the current chapter that you're in. There's something that can undermine that. And with the 5 of Cups in reverse, it's possible that past disappointments or things that you are scared of happening could be part of that. Like the fear, I guess, of, well, what if this goes wrong? Or, what if this happens? Or I've had this thing not work out in the past. What if something like that happens again? And I think you're meant to know that that chapter is over with the 5 of Cups in reverse. And it's important to get out of the mindset that is keeping you outside of the light. So it's like if you have something new happening in your romantic life, like let's say you start dating somebody, well, you're meant to be enjoying that. But I feel like something is disrupting your peace. Like you're thinking something, or you're worried about something, and it's causing you to kind of get out of the present moment and out of this exciting new opportunity with this person. That's just an example, but it's trying to illustrate to you that you're meant to be inspired. You're meant to be in the sun, the rays of the sun, to be optimistic, to be hopeful. And yeah, I think that whatever thoughts are getting in the way of that is what you're meant to be putting to rest and making peace with. Your other piece of advice here is Ten of Swords, Ten of Wands, Queen of Swords, Page of Cups, Three of Cups, Three of Pentacles, Seven of Wands. A lot of cards here for you guys. So with the Ten of Swords and Ten of Wands, again, it's saying that some cycle of suffering is coming to an end. Maybe you've had to do something on your own a lot, and that is coming to an end because you're getting support. Or maybe you've had certain struggles in relationships and that's coming to an end. Or maybe you've been in a long toxic relationship and you're finally getting out of it. Or maybe you're finally getting out of, a home that you're in and going to a new home, or whatever it is. There's some cycle that's ending here where you are suffering or overburdened by something. And the Queen of Swords is somebody who is logical, who is able to set boundaries and compartmentalize. So I feel like this is kind of indicating, again, to not carry over the energy of this past cycle and to recognize that it's over, and to communicate clearly or have strong boundaries within your own mind, to make sure that you feel factual and logical and not like emotionally holding on to baggage of the past. So giving this, I don't know, how can I explain this? Like, let's say you had a toxic relationship and you finally got out of it. The best thing that you can do for yourself is set really clear boundaries around your expectations in new relationships, not carry this emotional baggage forward, but look at people logically, based off of their behavior and what they're showing you. Can you trust them? And then to set really clear boundaries of, okay, I'm going to not talk to that person. I'm fully cutting this ex out, and I'm making sure that I have really, really clear boundaries around what I like, who I'll talk to and what I will and won't accept. So that's just an example, but it's trying to say that there's some cycle that's ended, and now you need to like hold your boundary in a clear way to not let that energy come back into your life, to show that you've learned from this experience, and also to not hold on to it emotionally, but to come at your next chapter through logic and not carry forward like the issues of this past experience. Especially with the Page of Cups, because this can represent like having an open heart, being curious, having certain dreams and like a whimsy to you. And you can't access this if you're carrying all this baggage from a past cycle with you. And the Three of Cups and Three of Pentacles suggests that there is going to be new connections coming into your life. Maybe there's our friends. There's literally 3 people on both these cards. So maybe there's something important about 3 people or 6 people in your life. But yeah, this is like new people coming in that you work well with, that you get along well with. And the Seven of Wands usually represents feeling like you have to defend something. But I feel like this is saying that you have to defend these new relationships from like, defend it or keep it away from like old energies that can threaten it. So if you did have a toxic relationship with somebody and then you hold boundaries and you go put yourself out there and meet new friends or new people, you want to make sure that you don't let that old toxicity creep up or that even the fear of it creep up and affect the new connections. So this is just an example of like, keep the past in the past kind of thing. And yeah, so I think that's what's going to give you the most peace, is to keep the baggage of the past in the past and recognize that you're in a new dynamic. Even if it's the same relationship, you're in a new dynamic that is worth celebrating, and to kind of protect it or defend it from the old cycle or the old energy. So yeah, and I think that this, again, kind of comes back to the disillusionment or the stress piece of she who begins, like something that you're just beginning or starting something fresh, starting something new. I think you might be worried that like it could have energy of the past within it, or you could have like fears around how this might end up. And so that's what this is trying to tell you, is to not focus on that. Let the past be in the past, and come to enjoy more of this moment and keep those solid boundaries in your mind to compartmentalize this new path from a previous one. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius. I hope that that resonates or makes sense for you. If it does, let me know in the comments down below how this pertains to your life, because I love to read that. It helps my practice and everyone else as well. And if you want to learn astrology from me, I am going to run a live cohort mentorship starting at the end of July. I have a course sales page up. And on that, I have a free workshop on the psychology of the moon, which is like an hour and a half kind of video content of things that I'll be discussing in the course. It's kind of like a little preview of the types of information that you're going to learn about. So if you're interested in learning with me, if you want to check that out, again, the link will be in my description box down below. Don't forget to, again, comment on this video, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and next we have Capricorn rising and sun. So this full moon is happening in your sign, Capricorn, which means, and it's on July 10th. It's happening in your first house. So what does this mean? So first of all, my Capricorns, I do think that you're benefiting from this full moon. I think that we're all going to experience some sort of clarity at this time on our long-term goals, on our path, on our plans. But I do think that there is some level of disillusionment that can also happen, especially for you guys, you know, around this ruler of the moon, which is Saturn. It's conjunct Neptune. It's in Aries in your fourth house. So there could be some stuff that you might feel disillusioned about when it comes to, you know, your home or your living situation. Like not everything living up 100% to its like ideal expectation. But I also think that you're having some movement and some clarity around yourself, your path, your home, your emotions, and things of that nature. So I can see there being like a mixture of energy of things progressing, of things becoming clear, and then also maybe of certain things not quite living up to the hype or the expectation that you might have set out to begin with. I pulled a card on like, what is the disillusionment piece? What might be like a little bit of a letdown? And I have she who prepares, formulate, strategize, and devise, and then she who sees, observe, perceive, and scrutinize. So there might be something in your plans that you are realizing or seeing through a new lens. And it's like, oh, that wasn't going to work. Or, you know, something about my plan didn't go 100% according to my plan, or maybe I need to make adjustments to my plan or my expectations with my plan. So there's just something here of like the preparation that you're doing, the strategies that you're creating, they might need to be modified, or the current reality is going to show you that those, again, don't quite live up to the expectations. So let's say, for example, how do I say, like, okay, I'm looking for housing right now. So I am, you know, trying to find the perfect living situation. But, you know, things are more expensive and they're harder than I expected. So there are some compromises and some things that I have to kind of think about in terms of my plan that I didn't think about before. So it's not like I can hit every single ideal without paying a certain price or without having something to give in that situation. So this is an example of plans not always being exactly how you thought. And the way that you can find peace in this scenario is through the moon card, and in your chart through the North Node in Pisces in the third. So let's start off with the North Node in Pisces in the third. This is very much being adaptable. The third house is like quite a busy house. It's also the house of the mind and the intellect. With Pisces here, it's like, what if we leave room for a lot of unknowns and we kind of adapt to the situation at hand as it unveils. So it's leaving the room for like intuition to guide us and not having all the answers, and just kind of trusting part of our path that we can adapt as things arise. So that's how you can find peace with this moon card, is leaning more into your instincts with things and less into the plan and having this super precise plan that always goes according to plan. The moon card is speaking to the need to kind of trust more of the process and trust that you know what is right in the moment when you decide it. So this moon, I think, is also representing some level of stress or overthinking with this, because it's trining Mars and the South Node in Virgo in your ninth house. The ninth house has a lot to do with like foreign affairs. It has a lot to do with education, with religion or with your beliefs about something or perspective on something. And so there can be stressors in that area. You know, for example, for me, I'm having to figure out the logistics of living in a foreign country, and that's a little bit stressful, and you know, I can overthink that. Or you guys might have certain things that you are ruminating about in terms of like the future and kind of stressing about that. So there is a possibility to be a little bit like overly critical or overly worried at this time in general. And that's why it's important to lean into that north node, to lean into kind of trusting a little bit more. And also like partnerships as well, because the sun is trining that north node in Pisces, and the sun is in Cancer in your 7th house. So lean a little bit more into partnership or relying on people or partnering up with people to make something a success or to bring you some level of like peace in a situation. Okay, so let's talk about your practical advice here. So we have Knight of Pentacles, 3 of Wands, Ace of Cups, and the Emperor card. So there is something like, okay, I think part of your advice here is around the logistics. Like, you know, we're talking about having a plan and things not always going according to plan and needing to have some adaptability, open-mindedness, but I think that things are kind of moving slowly with the Knight of Pentacles and the 3 of Wands. You're moving into an unknown path, a new path, but you have to take it really one step at a time. The Knight of Pentacles is somebody who doesn't leave any stone unturned. They're not rushing anything. You know, they understand that things take their time, and they're, again, just kind of sequentially trying to take care of business. And I think that's part of your advice here. With the Ace of Cups and the Emperor, I also think that you can trust yourself to have it together. The Emperor is somebody who they're very responsible. They're very in control of a situation. They know how to make wise decisions. They know how to lead, how to take care of things. And with the Ace of Cups, I feel like you're going to make heart-centered decisions while also being responsible. I think that this is almost like a reassurance. I know this is supposed to be practical advice. I guess the advice is to take it one step at a time. But I think it's also a reassurance that like, you got this. Like, you're going to be able to handle all this and still be fulfilled in your decisions. Even if things don't always go as planned, you're going to lead in a way that is going to bring stability in the situation. And you're going to make sure that, again, nothing is left unturned or that nothing is left undone. So I definitely think that you're going to be, again, emotionally fulfilled, leading, taking things one step at a time, and navigating the unknown as it comes through a place of power. Your second piece of advice, we have Ace of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, 6 of Wands, and then 5 of Cups and 9 of Swords, which I feel like is a separate message because these came out separately. So Ace of Wands, Ace of Pentacles, 6 of Wands. So I definitely feel like whatever is new on this path for you, because again, I do with the 3 of Wands think that there's something really new that you're heading towards. Maybe you're traveling, or maybe you're starting up a new project, or you're going somewhere new, or you're moving somewhere new, or you're deciding to embark on some adventure of some sort. And I think that whatever this is that you're beginning is going to be very rewarding for you. I think that there's some kind of new material beginning, so some changes in your physical reality, financially, or again, your home, or even like the people that you meet. So it's like new friends, new people coming into your life. And I see you getting this like spark for life again. And then I think that is ultimately going to lead you to some type of victory. So I just feel like this is saying that this new path is successful, that you're going to have the money work out, that you're going to be inspired, that you're going to be energized by life again. And it's going to all pan out in the right way, even if there is some disillusionment now with the process not being as easy, or there being some complications or some difficulties or some compromises. I definitely think that regardless of that, the ending is really, really positive. I definitely feel like the 9 of Swords and 5 of Cups speaks to you guys being quite stressed about things, not working out. You're kind of seeing the worst case scenario with the 5 of Cups here, of like something disappointing you, something letting you down. But with the 9 of Swords clarifying, it's saying that this is in your head and that it's not going to manifest. So I feel like part of this reading is trying to reassure you that there is going to be a successful completion of something. Something is going to, find itself in a good place in your life. And you don't have to worry about the worst case scenario, that this is more so mental gymnastics that you're doing at this time because of the unknown factors at play, rather than actually being something that you have to worry about. So yeah, that's what I see for you, Capricorn. If that makes sense for your life, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below how that relates. I also want to let you know that I'm running a astrology mentorship / course type of situation. If you want to learn with me hands-on in a small group environment, then I highly suggest checking out the sales page for that course in my description box down below. I also have a workshop on that page that kind of gives you like a snippet of the type of material that we're going to cover. And it's, over an hour workshop. So it gives you a good taste of what is ahead. So if that interests you, if you enjoy that, then definitely check out that sales page. And there is going to be a price increase like next week. So if you're interested, check it out. And then also don't forget to like this video, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and up next we have Aquarius rising and sun. For you guys, this Capricorn full moon is happening in your 12th house on July 10th. So what I've been saying about this full moon is that I feel like it's going to give us some insight or clarity about long-term goals that we're working on, but it could also create a feeling of disillusionment a little bit, because I do think that certain things in our current reality may not 110% live up to certain expectations that we have. And that's because the ruler of this moon, Saturn, is conjunct Neptune. And so there's this weird kind of combination of needing to reconcile the dream with the reality. And it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that there's a little bit of a difference there. Okay. So what does this mean for you guys? Well, let's start off with the disillusionment piece that I was talking about. I pulled the She Who Yearns card, yearn, longing, and pining for. What I get is that you guys might have something come to fruition that you've always wanted, or you might be working towards that. You might be on a path towards something that you've always longed for, but you might find that once you get there, that there might be a little bit of a transition period where you realize that it's not all you thought it would be. So let's say, for example, that you've always wanted this particular job, you've always wanted to go on this particular career path, and then you get there, and then there are certain disappointments where you're like, oh, this looked really fun on paper, and there are fun elements to it for sure, and really positive things to it for sure, but there are also these other challenges here that I didn't expect there to be, or maybe I'm bored, or maybe I don't earn as much as I thought, or I earn more but I have more work. And so it's almost like the reality of the situation is kind of catching up with you. So you might feel disillusioned that some of the things that you yearn for in an idealistic sense kind of have their own challenges or their own gray areas that are not as attractive. And that's normal. And I think that, a full moon in the 12th house, it can illuminate things that we didn't see before. So there can be, just things that you're starting to see through new eyes. And I do think that this full moon can be a little stressful because it is trining Mars in the South Node, which are in Virgo in your 8th house. So there can be maybe some fears at this time that come up, maybe overthinking things, maybe worry about money or security, or even trust in a relationship. It depends on what it is that you've been yearning for, but there is a potential of overthinking to happen at this time. The potential for, worrying about worst case scenarios at certain times. Not everyone is going to go through that, but that is a potential. I think that we are meant to be finding peace and acceptance with where we are at right now, in particular through the North Node in Pisces, which for you guys is in the 2nd house. So you guys are meant to be finding peace within the material realm, within the financial realm, and learning to trust a little bit more that this area of your life is going to figure itself out. Part of your advice for this is the flow and the time card. So part of your advice is to go with the flow in terms of the material reality and again, trust that things will work out for you in time. But to not try to rush it or get ahead of it or worry obsessively about something financially, because it is going to take its time to work out. So this can either be about money or things that you own. Like let's say, for example, you've always wanted to live in another state or another country. That's a dream that you've been longing for. Well, maybe you have to figure out some logistics around how you can sell your house or when you can sell your house. And you need to kind of go with the flow with that and time it with the market rather than trying to force it when you want it to be done. And then when you get there, you might find that there are certain aspects of living in that place that actually don't meet your expectations when you were dreaming about it and your mind is just being this perfect experience or being so different. You'll still notice that there are certain challenges because there are always going to be stuff like that in life. So that's the kind of energy that I'm seeing here. So in terms of some practical advice for you guys, we have the King of Wands and the Empress card. So I feel like part of what this is saying is to kind of just go with the flow in enjoying the current moment that you're in. I mean, this could have to deal with Uranus recently moving into your 5th house, which does add a little bit of like spontaneity to your day-to-day life. So you might be in a period of life where you're meant to be trying new hobbies, experimenting with new things, meeting new people, kind of putting yourself out into the world, or just trying to see like what you enjoy about life a little bit more, and not trying to have like such a set plan, but maybe being more in a state of receptivity and curiosity and exploration, and kind of building up things that are creatively interesting to you, or things that make you feel confident, like taking a dance class if you've never done that, or going to the gym more, or socializing or whatever. The King of Wands, the Empress, to me is like somebody exploring kind of like the pleasures of life and being more spontaneous and receptive rather than having a super strong plan. And that might feel contradictory to a Capricorn full moon, which is all about time and planning and everything like that. But this is actually one of the best ways that you can, I think you'll still be productive, and like one of the best ways to still progress your life, but to actually focus more on, what are new and different things that I can try in my life to bring me, to satisfy like a curiosity, or to bring me confidence, or to help me understand myself more, or to explore something I've always been interested in. That's kind of what you're meant to be focusing on right now to an extent. Okay. So we also have the Hangman, the Three of Wands, Hierophant, and the Seven of Pentacles. So I feel like this is, again, the Hangman starting this reading, and then the Time card as part of what gives you peace. These to me are connected because the Hangman is a pause. It's representing inaction or an inability to push something forward, but a need to suspend what you're doing, or maybe you're having to wait on something. So time is like a really strong theme here, and that makes sense because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is the god of time. So there's something in regards to time where I think that you guys need patience. You guys need to be okay with like not knowing something, being in suspension, which makes sense with the 12th house, full moon. It can illuminate part of your path, but there's still a lot of unknown factors involved with the 12th house. So there's something here around like pausing for a moment, or having to wait on something. And then after that, you are going on a new journey. You're going to try something new. Maybe you travel somewhere, or maybe you join a new course, or maybe my mom's an Aquarius and she's like entering into a period of retirement. So there's something here where like you pause and wait for something, and then you're going on to this next adventure where there's a little bit more freedom or exploration. And with the Hierophant, some of you guys may find that in that next chapter, there's also like something that you're going to join that is going to provide structure. So I think in some ways there's freedom of like, oh, I'm doing something new and on my own for the first time. But then I'm also joining something that is like established, that is going to give me structure amongst this new beginning and this kind of, greater free time. So like, let's say, for example, you wanted to work for yourself after working for a company for many years. Maybe you pause and you wait and you save up money to get to a place where you feel ready. And then you go off and you do something on your own. You're like, all right, I'm going to launch this business. I'm going to try this thing. And in this process, you're doing it all on your own, but you also decide you want to join a business course to help you kind of understand the best way to go about it. So you have a lot of freedom, a lot of leeway, a lot of decisions that are made on your own on this new path, but you're also in a structured kind of program that can act as like additional guidance and routine when you want it. So the Hierophant here represents being a part of some formal institution, signing up for some, again, course or a program, or, joining a book club, or doing something that has like a weekly schedule, or something that you participate in a structured manner amongst your freer or new path that you have more leeway with. And then with the Seven of Pentacles, if you continue to put effort into this thing, this is something that's going to bear fruit for you long term. Again, there's time that really plays into this, where if you have patience with whatever this is, it's going to build into something substantial and long lasting and permanent for you. So yes, I hope that makes sense for you guys. This is your message. But yeah, it seems like, you're meant to be a little bit more patient right now, and think about long-term success as well. So that's what I have for you, Aquarius. If that makes sense for you, let me know in the comments down below about how it relates to your life. If you want to study astrology with me, I am running a course starting at the end of the month. So if you're interested and you want to check out what that's about, I'm going to have a sales page linked in my description box down below. And on the sales page, I have a free workshop on the psychology of the moon, which is kind of like a little sample of the information that you'll be learning in my course. So if that interests you, if you enjoy it, definitely check that out. Don't forget to comment down below, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful. All right, and last but not least, we have Pisces rising and sun. So this Capricorn full moon happening on July 10th is taking place in your 11th house, which is community, online groups, it's friends, it's our hopes and our wishes, and all of that. And I think that this full moon is going to give us some kind of clarity on a long-term project or goal, or long-term friendships in this case as well. But I think it also can feel like a little bit of a disillusionment as well, or having to face certain realities as well, because the ruler of this moon, Saturn, is conjunct Neptune, and Neptune is an idealist while Saturn is a realist. So having these combination of planets can indicate that there's some kind of reality that we have to kind of reckon with in the current phase of our life. For you, this could be a financial reality because Saturn's in the second house for you. So something financial that you're going to have to come to terms with. Like maybe there is something, some wish that you have, or some friendship group that you want to join, or something that you want to do, but then it costs money and you're like, oh, I don't know. And you feel like, like you have to kind of, accept that reality of something. It could also be something in the material realm in general. So even if it's not like, oh, this costs money, it could be you want to sell something or you want to do something and it requires like some type of sacrifice, or it doesn't go as easily planned as you thought it would. Just something about the material physical world that could be a little bit like have some level of disappointment with that. This card I chose for like, what is a disillusionment? We have she who frees, liberation, unrestrained, and freedom. So I don't know. I think maybe you want more financial freedom. Maybe you want to feel like you have the like choices for things, especially because Uranus just moved into Gemini, which squares your Pisces ascendant or sun. So you might feel a little bit like I'm ready to make some kind of change in my life, but there are also certain ways in which this change is somehow challenging, or you might have, like certain sacrifices or something around it is like, oh, I want change, but it's not so easy because this is a square. So there's always some kind of cost with the square or tension in making something happen. So Uranus is a planet of freedom and liberation. And so that is something that you guys want in your life path, in your direction, in your career, in your interests right now. But there also might be some tension around that where it's not so easy to get, or again, there's some kind of sacrifice or something that you need to do in order to gain that freedom. But I see you wanting choice, but feeling also kind of limited, maybe because of financial matters or like material practical things like, oh, I want to move abroad, but I have a house. So like, what am I going to do? Or, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z thing for my kid, but it's going to cost this much money and I don't have that much money or time. How am I going to do that? Those are kind of examples. How to gain freedom or peace in the situation is knowledge. So there is something that you guys might want to study, to learn, to look up more about. Understanding more of something or of a situation or learning more is your key to peace in this situation. So maybe there are things that you don't know that if you look more into whatever this subject is or whatever is worrying you, you will discover the answers to your questions. Or maybe there's something that you can learn or study that is going to open up your worldview and show you a lot more opportunities that, again, maybe you just didn't know about before. So there's something here around wisdom, knowledge, learning something that is really going to help you grow and expand. Wherever we have the North Node, which is Pisces, is going to indicate where you can also find that peace. So I think part of this knowledge is learning about yourself. You know, maybe there's something that you can do like therapy or of course astrology or maybe journaling or speaking with a friend that you can use to understand more of your own inner world and what it is that you really need or want right now, because maybe you're lacking like perspective or understanding of yourself and your path and how to get what you want or what you want, truly at the heart of things. So more knowledge, more wisdom, more self-awareness is going to be a really big piece for bringing your peace to you. We might feel a little bit of stress in the area of relationships because this moon in the 11th is trining the South Node and Mars in the 7th. So you might be overthinking elements of either relationships or commitments to like people or institutions. You might be just, again, overthinking it to a certain degree or feeling a little bit stressed or pressured in that area of your life. Okay, so I pulled some cards around the advice Spirit has for you. Practical advice, since this is a Capricorn full moon, which is an earth sign, a very practical sign. So what is it that you can do right now to best benefit you? So we have Temperance, Two Swords reversed, Five of Cups upright, Chariot upright, Ace of Cups. So starting off with the Temperance, I feel like you guys are needing to come into a place of a balanced perspective. It's really common when we have a strong Uranus transit. So if you have any planets or ascendant around the first degrees of Pisces, you are experiencing Uranus squaring those planets or angles. If that's the case for you, it is very common to go through more extremism during this time. So Temperance card is telling you to find a balanced perspective. So this also means like if you're coming up with worst case scenarios, or you're having dramatic reactions to things, or you have an all or nothing mindset or black and white mindset, or if you are, if you're wanting to like impulsively jump straight into something and do something really fast or whatever it is, it's like, it's trying to get you to kind of, I think part of the advice here is to temper that attitude and try to find more balance and peace. It doesn't mean that you can't move forward. It doesn't mean that you can't make changes or, see the nuance in things. It just means that you're more likely to jump the gun or, So the Temperance card is trying to say that there is a space here for greater healing and self-awareness and a balanced perspective instead of feeling extreme or impulsive or like disconnected almost from the self. So part of this is like coming back to yourself, filling your own cup, being self-aware. I think a lot of this is like self-aware so that you are acting from a balanced and grounded place. Then we have the Two Swords in reverse. So again, I feel like there might be things that you've been maybe ruminating on or unclear about in some type of way. Like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? And if you're coming into a balanced perspective and you're really like doing some introspection and again, becoming self-aware around your tendencies and patterns, then the Two Swords can reverse itself so that you have clarity over what you're meant to do next because you're coming from a really grounded place. So let's say, for example, You want to make a career change, like I mentioned. With Uranus, let's say Uranus is squaring your sun, you want to make a career change. Well, instead of just like dropping all of that overnight, maybe you create a long-term plan, because you kind of notice this pattern within yourself that, oh, you know, whenever I get uncomfortable, I tend to do this extreme reaction to like make myself satisfied again. Well, what is a balanced approach to that, where you can move towards change, but with judiciousness, which is what a Capricorn full moon wants. It wants us to think responsibly. So how can you come from a balanced and responsible place? And again, make a plan to create change, but not just doing everything from an impulsive, like overnight kind of mindset. Then we have the Five of Cups upright, the Chariot, and the Ace of Cups. So I think what the Five of Cups is like learning from your mistakes. If in the past you have a pattern of like breaking up with people because they piss you off right away, or changing jobs right away, or doing something in a dramatic or sudden or extreme fashion, or seeing things in a black and white, this Five of Cups is saying that you might have made mistakes coming from that mindset before, and it's important to learn from your mistakes this time around. With the Chariot, this is a card of willpower. So you are meant to be using your self-awareness and your willpower to move yourself towards a fulfilling, an emotionally fulfilling long-term direction for yourself. So what would the plan, what is a strategy to go about doing that? And not just reacting because you're like, I want to get out of the situation right now. I want freedom right now. So it's like, what's the long-term plan with this? I think that's like the biggest question here. And how can I direct my energy and focus into making controlled, wise, judicious decisions to get me there? Your next set of advice is Nine of Wands, Hermit, Devil, Two of Wands, Seven of Wands. So the Nine of Wands and the Hermit, this to me also feels like, again, needing to come back to self-awareness. I think that's like the biggest thing for you guys right now. I think that might be because of the North Node in your house and it being aspected by the Sun, trining the Sun and Cancer. So anyway, the Nine of Wands and the Hermit, this is self-reflecting around like where in your life you might be withstanding things. So I talked a lot about like getting out of, like being so uncomfortable and wanting so much freedom that you make extreme or rash decisions. The other opposite end of that spectrum is staying in things way too long, even after you've outgrown them. And this is another form of Uranus transits that makes us realize that, you know, we're stuck and we're not moving forward because of a pattern that we're in and a comfort zone. And we get so used to kind of suffering in something that's not in alignment with us that we start to ignore it and get acclimated to it. The Hermit wants you to reflect on that and show you, what are you kind of withstanding unnecessarily or staying too long in? And the Devil card can show that there's some limiting beliefs, some addictions, or unhealthy attachments to potential toxicity or something in your life that is keeping you stuck in something longer than you need. So you might be on either end of the spectrum. You might just have one, like the top row might be applicable, or the bottom, or both could be applicable to you. So if you find that you are staying too long in something, the Devil wants you to work through, you know, whatever that is. So if you have some unhealthy attachment or addiction or entanglement into something, then again, the Devil card wants you to become aware of that through self-reflection. The Two of Wands can represent this kind of like grass is greener type of mindset, this restlessness kind of mindset as well. So it's a potential for you to like always be looking ahead or looking at what's next. And that could also be part of this extremism. Another way that this can show up is that you might be actually discontent in the thing that you're spending a lot of time in, and you're almost like fighting for it still with the Seven of Wands. Like, for example, if you're in a, you know, toxic job and you don't want to leave, like you do, but you don't end up leaving. This is your time to look at why you're so entangled there, why you feel like you can't leave, and examine if you are defending your lack of contentment. Like if people in your life are saying, you know, you really don't look happy at your job, like why are you staying there? And you're like, well, you know, it's really not that bad. And you make excuses and you're saying, oh, this and that. It's like you're defending the dissatisfaction and like why you should stay there and suffer when that's not what you need. So you are meant to be going through changes and being proactive about what those can be. But some of you could be prone to being extreme, and then others of you could be prone to staying too long in things that are not right for you. And you have to find balance and moderation between these two like mindsets right now. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. I hope that that's helpful for you. If this resonates, I'd love to hear how this applies to your life in the comments down below. If you guys want to learn astrology from me, I am conducting a live mentorship with a small group of people starting at the end of July. So if you want to learn with me, then go ahead and check that course sales page out in my description box down below. On that page, I included a workshop, like a moon psychology workshop, which is kind of a sample of some of what I'm going to be teaching in the class. So if that, you know, interests you and you watch it and you like it, then go ahead and join the course, or you can book, you know, a consultation for more information. But the link for both of those things will be in my description box. Again, don't forget to comment, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day.